Okay, so this should work for sure. Okay, so let's get this. So, just talked to Chris Dorsey, and I got that video. Camera always messes up, but I got the video. Doesn't matter. Should have had several cameras in place. By now, I should know better. But I don't think there's going to be much more of this because they'll probably be sending the feds after me real soon. I'm pretty sure he is one, and his whole goal is to bait you and to get you to say what he does, basically, and maybe a little more. And then he'll send his boss after you in a federal task force. And so I played into his game, and no big loss. I'm not scared of them. I've been dealing with them my whole life. I've been trying to get them to come get me for 10 years. That's why they came into my life 8 years ago. The FBI did, and spent years trying to get me to say something. And back then, I didn't say anything because I wasn't aware of what was going on. And until I wasn't fully aware until I finally realized that was the FBI in my life. And then I started realizing that, yeah, this is serious shit to them, and they're fucking terrorists, and they're scared of anti-war. They're scared of peaceful. They're scared of peace. That's what I learned. They're scared. So, but of course, you can't defeat terrorism by being peaceful. That's what we tried 2,000 years ago, in the story of the crucifixion, and that didn't work. So, I mean, and Jesus knew that. You know, that's why they said when I come back, it's game over for most of the humans. So, yeah, I bought into his little game, and probably implied and said a few words that I shouldn't have, that fucking scared him and his bosses. And that's good. Fuck them, dude. Let's say a prayer for them. Always say a prayer for your enemies. And this time we're going to change the prayers around because the end's near. So we got to change how we do stuff. We're not going to pray for their peace. We're going to, dear Lord, those who try to get in our way and terrorize and destabilize our planet and to manipulate and rob and deceive the humans, and those who wish to destroy your children, who try to do right, you know, it'd be best if you just crippled and muted them so they can no longer walk to cause problems, and they can no longer use their mouth to tell lies and deceive people. And so maybe in one last effort, we can count on you to cripple and mute these people so they can't take your children away. But that's all I ask, really. So let's get on with the discussion. I've got the actual video. This is obviously not the recording of me and him talking. Yet it takes more editing, fucking tons of useless editing to do that, so I'll just upload that separately. But basically the video was me wanting him to tell me. I wanted one question. Simple. I've never, you guys, anyone who watched my videos know I don't really attack Chris Dorsey, and I never have. He's really one of the only people I watched left. I have left that I watched. So, it was like weird for me to even begin this because I was like, eh. But I knew, yeah, like I was out. The second I started thinking, I was like, sure. I mean, by the time I got done with alt-right, by the time the FBI got around me, I figured they were all fucking in on it no matter what. Especially after the alt-right, I was like, yeah, pretty much anyone I'm going to be introduced to is going to be them. So, not that big of a surprise. I just wanted him to discuss the yellow vest. I wanted him to tell me whether he supported the yellow vest, and whether, because he said in his video, I am the yellow vest. That was a week after I said the FBI was the yellow vest. And the yellow vest isn't just the FBI, it's the military, it's the CIA. And they have to topple France. I mean, the Jews are working with the whites. And so that's where the last 5 empires came from. is the Jews working with the whites together, and they scapegoat each other back and forth to deceive the non-whites and the other species on the planet. And they now the whites are definitely going to pay everything. They're going to lose everything at the end of this, because no, that's the price you get for fucking. It's the price you pay for selling out. But they've sold the humans out to the aliens for fortune and fame, and that's where the last 5 empires came from. It's this alien invasion, and they've been the FBI, CIA, whatever you want to call it, Rome, UK, America, USA. They've been working with the aliens for centuries now, so they will do whatever it takes to keep that under wraps. But they already have everything under control, it seems. So there's not much they got to keep under wraps. They just have to make sure no one ever stands up to them with the truth. So they create the deception, the conspiracy theorists, truthers, libertarian, alt-right, alt-light, GDL, and people like Chris Dorsey, which is like, he was planning to be the final line. He is the armed revolution, and they see that as the only final answer that could get rid of them. So he is the final answer, and they have to put him in play there because they have to control that, because they're really scared of that group. Like, the other groups can talk and would eventually revolt, but the revolutionaries are the ones they need to control the most. So that's what Chris Dorsey is there for. And he refused to even talk about the yellow vest thing. And like, that's all I wanted to know. I was trying to be so calm and peaceful. Those of you who follow him know his tactics. And right off, you're aware that all he does is argue with people. He doesn't try to speak or anything. And so I was aware that where this was going to go, and I was being extremely peaceful at first. In fact, the whole time I was speaking with him on video, it was extremely peaceful, because I knew how to play into this. I knew where he was going, and I knew how he's going to take it. He's going to go basically try to, like, just do that. And so I was like, just calm down, whatever, get it off your chest, bub. So all I wanted him to say was, I'm the yellow vest, a second time, because he's already said it the first time. And I wanted him to confirm that. I wanted him to let people know that wasn't a mistake. He said it. We are the yellow vest. I am the leader of the yellow vest. Right there. That was his admission in his video, that he is the FBI. I had already declared the yellow vest of the FBI, because the yellow vests are all right. And, I mean, America's already had to declare war on Europe. They have to. It's one of the only places with money left. They can't declare war on China, Iran, or Russia. Those people stomp USA so fast. So, he basically, you'll see in the video, he led the topic to all sorts of stupid shit. He was like, "You're a Jew." So I was like turning to the side to look over here, and he's like, "Oh, you look like a Jew from the profile." And so I was just like, maybe I am a Jew. My house, I'm Jones and Smith, 50% of Jones, 50% of Smith. Their family insignia is the Lion of Judah, aka Jesus. And I'm sorry, Chris, the fucking FBI agent stooge, doesn't want to tell you the truth about the Bible. But the Bible's a Jewish book written by Jews about Jews. And it was about a Jew rebelling against the Jews, pretty much. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily true, so don't get your panties in a bunch there. But that's what the story is about. If I tell you the story of Puff the Magic Dragon, it's the story about the dragon called Puff. You don't have to get your panties in a bunch. There's never been a dragon who was puffing. You don't have to worry about that. It's just a story about Puff the Magic Dragon. So, he didn't like that. So I quoted John 4:22, "Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews." You see, the Bible is a book of doublespeak. It's straight out of 1984 Orwell's books. Um, the only thing I've noticed that the Bible does not double speak on is the Goyim are going to be slaves. That's fucking pretty much in there. Although there's a couple things talking about equal and this, equal that. But one thing it does not double speak on is salvation is of the Jews. It does not go back on that and say, oh, the Goyim fucking rule the planet, or the Bible is for Goyim. It does not go back on that and say God's children are the Goyim. It does not say any of that. So he, of course, just moved past that. He didn't really want to talk about that. I believe that was in the comments, so that's not an actual video. I tried to get some of the comments, but the thing started messing up magically. That's fine with me. Got the video. Should have the video, unless they're erasing it. But you know what? Oops, I accidentally recorded that on the phone that the FBI footage was on, and they accessed that phone really fast and delete that. Of course, you don't have to believe that, and you're not going to believe it, and I don't give a fuck. But anyone who knows me, hell, even in that conversation, one person who knows me in real life showed up in the chat room, like a person who knows some of the shit we were talking about, because he was like telling me I'm not a real person. He was telling me my name's not Sean Jones, and I was like pulling out fucking oops. Yeah, he was trying to get me to show him personal identification, like my fucking, like, I showed him my ID, and it's like, I probably didn't cover up everything on that. Thanks, Chris Dorsey. Now fucking half the internet has my personal fucking information. Not that he didn't already. And it's not that when I started talking about all this, that everything in my life didn't start fucking up as well. It's hackers on the internet, people stealing my identification is like the least of the problems I've had since I've started discussing this shit and following these people. Like I said, Trump and pals came into my life. You know what I'm saying? None of y'all have this Trump National Washington D.C. You see Trump National Washington D.C. None of y'all have that. And it costs $140,000 to get to the store to purchase this. To get to the store. I can't tell you the price of it because I wouldn't go to the store with them. But they brought the gifts to me. So at first, the first 5 minutes of the discussion, he's just like beating himself like, I mean, he sound, you know how it is, right? It's like a fucking bitchy girl. But this is politics. This ain't about being a little bitch. This is about, real serious shit. Fucking USA murdering people across the planet. And murdering people in their own backyard as well. About them murdering and robbing everyone. So there shouldn't be, he shouldn't be involved in politics if that's all he does. Fucking, but that's his goal. That's his MO. That's how it works. That's his job description, is to when someone starts saying something, so you drown him out. Like he's done that before on his videos, where and what's up to all y'all who showed up. He's done that before in his videos. I've listened to his blog talk. Like once or twice, I heard someone begin to say something that was like interesting and informative, and then he would like cut it out and not, oh, we're losing connection and, or talk over them. And it's like, yeah, well, that was my first clue. Besides the obvious, that they don't allow you to get on press TV and shit, and on TV, period. I've been baiting them for a while. I went to the RNC. I jumped up and down. I didn't have to jump up and down. I had a huge sign that said, Jews control the media. And the media entirely ignored me. Except for Breitbart, who interviewed me and swept it under the fucking rug. Didn't want to touch it. So the first 5 minutes was him talking about, who am I? He's like, you're a nut job. And it's like, yeah, if you go to my Facebook page, it's a bunch of nutty shit, dude. I can't say anything intelligent. I get banned. That's the way it is. So, yeah, if you know me from Facebook, like you're like, if you knew me 10 years ago, you're like, what happened to him? And it's like, well, I told you what happened to me. It's just like idiots like you didn't fucking listen. You're fucking deaf and dumb and blind, and you can't fucking simply see that I posted on my page, hey, I'm no longer allowed to say intelligent shit because I get banned every 30 days. So I'm just going to come back here and say stupid shit and start testing them and see how often they ban me and what they ban me for. You know, like I like Chris Dorsey was one of the people who made me start testing some of this shit because he would imply in his videos that if you say foul language and vulgar shit, they'll fucking ban you. And it's like, no, 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 no. That's what you can learn from my Facebook page, actually. Like, because they've removed all the information about how Jews control everything and how Ukraine is actually Khazaria and, you know, all these mad facts you can't find anywhere because because it's not allowed to be anywhere. All this stuff gets removed. So they don't allow any of that shit. So I turned it into a fucking social media experiment. And it's not like I gave a shit after 4 years at Facebook anyways, because Facebook is just a bunch of idiots. You're not allowed to say anything intelligent there. You'll get banned. But it's people stuck in the past 10 years ago. Like, at least on YouTube, like, they have to progress this agenda, although YouTube feels like it's really getting old. But on Facebook, everyone's stuck in the libertarian age 10 years ago. Like, they never learned Alex Jones was a stooge like the alt-right did and then went back to worshiping. They just kept worshiping Alex Jones and never moved on beyond that. So Facebook is useless. Don't pay attention to anything you say there. People say there, except especially me. But it was odd. He called out my Facebook because on my Facebook today, like, all I was talking about was how to control the world, how to ask God for help, and how He will respond, and how the world responds, and how it can happen just like that. It's like he definitely didn't want to go into any of that shit. So the odd thing is what he brought up was he said something about Trump. He was talking about Trump and Cohen, like it was a real story, right? Like it's some sort of legit thing you should pay attention to. And I made a real sarcastic comment to, you know, basically call him a fucking little bitch, agent, retard, whatever. However you want to take it, that's exactly what it meant as. What you're a fucking little bitch lying to people. And so I very low key insulted him and said I was like, by wording what I said, I was saying only idiots would talk about this, and the government is creating this media. Why are you talking of it? But instead, what I just said was, you know, the FBI hired it. The title was like FBI, you know, Trump hired IT and Trump hired Cohen to hire IT to promote Trump and create false polls, which is like useless gossip nonsense. It doesn't matter. Fucking, this is nothing new. This is some of the same shit they just keep talking about, and they all do it anyways. It's nothing new. It's not really a big thing. But the thing is I said, well, the FBI hired IT to invent Trump. And so he says, oh, that's stupid talk. It's like, no, that's exactly what happened. Trump didn't make it on the TV without the permission of the New World Order. You know, they control the media. He doesn't get there unless they stage it, unless they hire a bunch of people to advertise him and put him there. And they've been doing that for 30 years. He's been on the TV for 30 years. He's a sleeper agent. He was put in play. He was put in place a long time ago to be put in play if he was needed. Just like David Duke was put in place a long time ago to be put in play when needed. That's what they call a sleeper agent inside the FBI and the CIA, inside any sort of intelligence agency. That's a sleeper agent. You put him in a position in a corporation making lucrative cash, and that it's also a cover so they can have lucrative bonuses coming in from the side that you'll never question. And they are activated if they are ever needed. A sleeper agent is a last resort. You hopefully never need to activate your sleeper agents, but they had to activate Trump. They had to activate David Duke because that's that. Just like I believe fucking Dorsey was probably labeled pretty much a sleeper agent because now with the yellow vest, he's having to be activated to be the leader of the yellow vest, as he's claimed. But he don't want to talk about that. He wanted to talk about how I'm not Sean Jones and how I'm an idiot. So he got me into a bunch of discussing stupid stuff like who I am, and I was like, he was like, "You're a Fed. You're a Fed." You know how he is. Everyone's a Fed to him. So I showed him. I'm like, "Dude, I'm not a Fed." He's like, "Look, you're taking gifts from the Fed." This is after he told me this is bullshit and it doesn't mean nothing. He goes straight into buying it, and it's like, he's just such a fast-talking con man. I don't think any of his viewers even realize how fast he was just flipping the con game over and over and over. But it's like he went from saying this means nothing to saying this means I got gifts and I'm bought off by the feds. And so then the story goes into who I am and part of my past, and unfortunately some shit I don't want out there, but let's put it out there because it's going to be in the video. Right here, you see this? That's me. Yeah, that's a newspaper, bro. That's exactly what that is. Here, this is how the story ends. Driver is cleared in fatal accident. It doesn't sound like much, does it? Yeah, it's because that's the end of the story. So, how does the story begin? So I wanted to show him who I was. And also, sometimes I pull this shit out when I want people to shut the fuck up and I want them to be scared. Man charged in death has record of temper. Temper. That's me, buddy. And that's a Jew. Because I don't think there's no such thing as a non-Jew lawyer. So that's one of my two lawyers, because I had two. And so hey, look, I like that picture best. That picture's sweet, dude. I got my undercut, and I'm fucking wearing like a black satin shirt. Fucking dude, I look total gangster. And that's little Joey. Little Joey. Joey Klotz. Turns out Klotz is a Jewish name. Who would have guessed, right? Not me back then. I had no idea about any of this. Very suspect story, too, because I magically blacked out during the period he died. So anything could have happened. It could have been they hit me with a blackout gun and they staged this thing like he died. Because there's a lot of weird shit in my life. Like, everything's fucking staged. So I got into that. And then like, he didn't even think of saying it right away. Because I'm already, like, I'm like 10 steps ahead of fucking everyone, but I've been planning this for a few weeks, and it's not like it's hard. Like, I've been analyzing him for a while, so I knew where he was going to go with everything. And I've dealt with this story down here before, you know, and I've dealt with the other story, so I've dealt with it enough times to know where each one's going to go, where it can go, where it may go, where it probably won't go, and where it won't go, and where I can take it to retain control of the entire situation. So, I went into that to show him, like, hey, I'm a real person, because he's trying to tell his viewers I'm a fake person, and he didn't even think of calling me a Fed, like, you know, because, like, that happened to me. Oh, I probably flipped, right? You know, I probably became a Fed then, right? But he didn't think of saying I flipped and became a Fed at that point. He implied that way later, like, I don't know. But I don't know why he even bothered bringing it back up. It's just because he was losing. And the whole thing is I just wanted him to talk, get done talking, so he could answer one question. And he could have answered it either way. Are you the yellow vest? Are you in support of the yellow vest? He only had to answer one of those questions to come up to who he is. And he knew. He was so guilty, he wouldn't even answer that simple question. Like, if I ask you, any of you 6 viewers right now, if I asked you, well, I guess I couldn't say if I asked you if you were a Fed because I assume 50% of the people on my page are Feds. But if I asked one of you if you were the Green Goblin, are you on the side of the Green Goblin? Do you support the Green Goblin? Would that like be a question you have to avoid? You could just be like, no, okay, let's move on to the next question, right? Like, why is it so important that he had to avoid the question, the only question I cared about? Oops. And that is the yellow vest. Are you the yellow vest leader, as you say, in America? And or do you support the yellow vest? And he didn't want to answer that question, so he went into this. He was like, blah blah, and just all this garbage. Like basically, he began trying to set me up, trying to make me fucking angry, and he did a little bit. And you could like I could tell like that was his plan, but it's like you know kind of hard not to deal with it properly because he fucking runs his mouth so fast. You just want to fucking shut it. Because he wouldn't answer that like one fucking question and shit, and he went like I did like calm him down. Like when you watch the video, you'll see he's like compared to when he normally talks to people, he was a little more calm. I thought compared to someone I thought he's usually attacking, he was a little calm. After I talked him down a little bit, but he simply just wouldn't answer the question, and he wanted to go into I'm a Fed and I say stupid shit. And the thing is, he could have brought up some really stupid shit I say, because I do say some stupid shit. Like, who gives a fuck? But if I were a Fed, I couldn't just say a bunch of stupid shit. Like, I'd be held accountable for that. I'd get fired if I said really stupid shit. I mean, like, I'd never even thought of that. That's a great way for me to fucking do that. But, now, people who work for the feds below them are often convicted of saying stupid shit. But, like Hal Turner. But, other than that, I mean, he just wanted to run his fucking mouth and not answer this question. And then, like his boys in the fucking comments, like, would just keep following him. And they wouldn't, like, listening to the facts that were really coming out of my mouth versus what was being said there. And he had all these bullshit things like you weren't, the feds weren't after you, and then the feds then came into your life. I mean, not only was he like being low-key pretty much saying stupid shit and being called out. I think half those people in the comments are feds, though. I've seen several of them before. One was JD or something, and he looks like a fake person. He looks like he has some sort of prosthetic makeup on here and there to build his cheek in a weird non-European, non-American white way I've seen before. So the Australians don't look much different than us, so that wouldn't account for it. But he was like American, so it looks like he's like in a weird position. And if you'll notice, if you ever seen the FBI online, like they generally do like have like pose fake pictures. It's like weird how you can tell. I mean, sometimes they'll wear their FBI hats, so you can tell them. But the other people in his comments, like the JD dude, I've seen him in too many places to not fucking know that. But a little off topic, but like his commenters didn't seem to be getting it. That I was, calling him out while it was happening, and they were just like, "Oh, he's a stupid person," and it's like he was calling me stupid, and it's like, dude, I was in kindergarten, and they passed me up to 4th grade. Like, they don't do that to stupid people. Sorry, they don't do that to like anyone. Fucking. And that's not like the first time that shit happened either. Like shit like that happened all the time. I left school because it was pointless and retarded. I went to school, and this is discussed in that video. Like when I went to school, I could read already. Like other kids didn't even know how to count. They didn't even know their numbers and ABCs yet, and I could already read. So So calling me stupid is like it's like a dead end fucking argument. I've baited you hard as fuck. If you think I'm stupid, you have fell for the trap big fucking time. And I lay that trap fucking for fucking assholes to fall into. And it's just the way it is. It's like I don't give a fuck if you look at me like I'm stupid. Like I've never been called that by a professional fucking ever. Professionals fucking hang out with me. That's the only reason why that Fed in my life I let hang around so long, because it's like I was kind of like used to the elite hanging out with me and shit. You know, the people who run society choosing to talk to me, the smarter people choosing to talk to me. It's like that's the only thing about that relationship that made me think it was legit at all, was people who work with Donald Trump would want to fucking hang out with me because I'm intelligent. And yeah, so I don't know, man. That guy is not trustworthy, but I think the whole point of that shit was to bait me, and I'm not sure if I'll be around too much longer. I'm pretty sure I gave him enough reason to come get me. And so, if that's the case, though, it's probably not very safe for them, because this shit right here, this kid, that wasn't me. That was God. God killed that kid. And God kills, cripples, and maims for me all the time. I felt very bad because of what I've asked for sometimes, and it's happened. And even when it's like people who strictly deserve it, like I kind of feel bad sometimes. It's like, ooh, that person's on a walker now. Wow, that's weird. Last week I asked you to break their legs, God. Like, fucking, please help the meal fast. Fucking, and then they'd heal, and I'd be like, and then the person would try to terrorize me again, and I'd be like, God, I'm sorry, I like told you to heal that person. Can we break their legs again? And then guess what happens? Yep. And in fact, I believe that happened 3 times in a row. And I'm always asking for forgiveness. Fucking, I don't think these people deserve it, but they get it sometimes. In fact, the FBI agent into my life, I was pretty sure they poisoned me. So I asked God to do some shit to that person. And little did I know, eventually they talked to me, and they had like a disease that the doctors couldn't find a cure to. So the doctors were poisoning the person over and over and over for a year, running chemo through them and all sorts of poisons to try to fix what was wrong with them. And then, like, after a while, I was like, damn, I feel bad because I think I did that. And they thought they knew what it was. I mean, they had a name to it. I'd rather not name it. That person might watch this video. In fact, they probably already figured it out if they're watching this. But within a year, I said, please, let's go back on that. Let's not totally torture this person anymore. They've had enough. And so then after a year, that person called me and told me that the doctors said they misdiagnosed them the whole time and they didn't have anything wrong. So this happens to me over and over again in my life. I don't even want to name some of these instances. Who knows? These fucking pieces of shit might try to haul me off for murder at some point because simply I've asked God to fucking kill someone for me. And I mean, I try not to do that. I try to be like, well, hey, God, you got to do something here. You got to help me. That's what I try to do now, because after the killings, I was like, maybe I shouldn't go that far. Like, that's... But he felt like, I think he really felt that those few times that those people needed to be killed to protect me. And Hail God. If that's what you think. Who am I? I mean, how are you going to disagree with someone like that, right? How are you going to tell God he's wrong? And how are you going to tell someone who kills people like that, just fucking takes him out? You don't see him, nothing. You don't hear him. They just die. Um, how do you like fight that even, right? It's like that's dumb. So I tried to like cut back on that shit, but I'd say for sure, if these assholes, if Chris Dorsey's one of them, if he's working with them, fucking hell, God, have your way with these people, and God, understand that you must silence this person and maim them really bad in order to protect me at this point, if he's really one of them, and I don't see why he's not. And they're them anyway, so protect me from them, God. Do what you got to do. I've come to the understanding after so many years that this atheist argument that God is peaceful, man. You gotta love, man. Why would God create a creation that He destroys? And it's like, well, why would the creation God created try to destroy God? Why would they want to get out of hand? Who cares? It happens. It's like, why does your child acting up? Why is your dog fucking chewing up on all your furniture? Why is your cat fucking pissing on everything? It's like, did God really make you as a slave? Maybe He did give you free will and you fucked up. Maybe He has people He favors over other people. I mean, another reason why I should be like humble and not ask for everyone to be killed. Not that I want people to be killed. It's like that was like, it's like mentally scarring on me that I have to live with, knowing the shit I've asked for that has come to fruition. So I wouldn't want to do that. Like, I guess I'm not like everyone else who just wants to beat up and fucking kill everyone. So I carry that. I carry, not that. The shit I just showed you, that dude fucking, yeah, he deserved it. He and his pals deserved it. They were just fucking useless thugs. Wannabes. But, there might have been other people who just got out of hand a few times, and that's that. Gotta ask to deal with them. I mean, you can't be terrorized. You can't let people terrorize you. It'll destroy you. And then there's been simply people who maybe I did wrong, and them still being around were a problem. And God decided that's the end of it for them. So, I say with this Chris Dorsey shit, if he's one of them, fucking have at him, God. Fucking have your way. Fucking next time you're having a bad day, God, fucking take it out on Chris Dorsey. Fucking let him know that his attitude is not welcome, his lies, his deception, his working with the federal government and acting like he's not is not welcome. And for the rest of you guys, if he's working with the yellow vest, and I'm not even sure who I'm talking to. It feels like everyone's the enemy in this nation, and God keeps confirming that too. So it's like, it's not like this guy just kills people. He also fucking has guided me, and it taught me my whole life. And I keep asking him, and he keeps telling me that I'm alone. And kind of just making videos for the record. So there's a record once this world gets melted down into fucking ashes, maybe something will be saved one day and people will like look back on it and be like, hey, look, there's that person telling us that the world's about to fucking be destroyed, and he's telling us why. He's telling us, it's not like these other people are telling you any of this truth fucking about what's going on and what the real answer is, because the real answer is in like Hail Hitler and this and that shit. Fucking the Nazis in America are scum. They're fucking following the people they claim to hate. They've been working with those people forever though, so the Nazis probably always were, and they probably just genocide the Germans to fucking cover up for invasion of the Middle East. That's the most logical standpoint, because that's kind of what they're doing in America. They're scapegoating everyone, blacks, whites, Mexicans, to cover up any sort of talk of the Middle East while they're still stealing land and building walls in the Middle East with turrets on them. So, I'm not sure who I even talk to anymore. It really feels like no one else, like, is at a point where they can question anything. They just want to follow, and it's like, well, God says that's that's why he's coming back to destroy the earth, is because he's fucking sick of it. And he says he keeps hinting to me that there's others like me, that it's not making me feel like there's a lot. I'm not finding them if there's a lot, but he definitely lets me know that he's been there to guide me and protect me, obviously, from this Jew like Joey Klotz, who tried to assault me, and then other people, and then there's other people. I mean, there's still people fucking with me, and it's like it takes a lot of my willpower to try to focus on bigger fish than little fucking yip yap fucking chihuahua fish biting at my fucking ankles. It gets hard, but I definitely ask for intervention every now and then. So maybe I'm making some of these videos also to try to find the other soldiers he's put out there. There's got to be some of you out there, right? I mean, I'm not the only one who God is giving gifts from birth, right? There's got to be more of you. There most definitely is, but it's like sometimes I try to talk to certain people I think would be them, and you can tell they're nowhere awake. They're nowhere on the side of good. They're on the Empire side, and it's like pretty much everyone in the Empire's already lost the Empire, because they are the enemy. Like, USA is the enemy of the world. There is no sugarcoating that. And that's one of his deceptions as well, Chris Dorsey is he has this idea that everything is the Rothschild. The 10 family people, they control every single thing, every single person. There's no 100 million people in the empire working to keep the empire alive. There's no nothing, just Rothschild, and we'll fix it once we put Rothschild behind bars, and it's the Jews. And it's like, well, even if it were just the Jews, there's a lot of people working with the Jews, but it's not. There's like scapegoating each other back and forth. It is the Jews, but it's not. It's like, it's deeper than that. It's at this point in time, they are the cover story, but they shifted that. They weren't the cover story 90 years ago. They might have been in Germany, but in America, they weren't any of the cover story. And they slowly shifted that. Like, recently, they obtained DC, recently they obtained Disney, who had acquired Marvel. But Marvel at the same time was kind of always them. So it's weird how you can argue that it was them, but they definitely have the slaves, the Caucasians as their slaves, at the very least, but as their willing slaves. So God's just telling me I gotta fucking wait this out, and he's been giving me some really fucked up messages I shouldn't really discuss. So maybe the FBI will come after me, and they will let him come after me after this thing. But it will definitely be to my advantage if I can get inside a prison. All his soldiers. He's told me that he's planted many soldiers in this nation. And it's not that I don't think he cares about them. I think he's going to melt down the nation, and that's going to kill pretty much everyone anywhere near the land. But in order for it to get destabilized enough for outside forces to melt down America, or pay it back, however you want to put it down, fucking they'll have to be insurrection and rebellion. And he planted those seeds a long time ago when he put the blacks in America 300 years ago. He didn't just put people in America to be an evil god who wants to enslave and sell blacks across the world. He strictly moved them over here to have insurrection abilities within the empire. And of course, he's driving the fucking those south of the border to come up to the north. And then at the same time he's driving economic forces against America, China, Russia, the Middle East. They want to drop the US dollar, which that just it sounds like nothing to Americans, because Americans have become so stupid they don't understand anything about economics. But that means a lot if the rest of the world drops your dollar. But what would mean more is if they drop the dollar and then they stop trading with you, and then the country will like fully go into meltdown, and they'll have to enslave the population, which building a wall around the nation would be the perfect way to contain the slaves, because people are going to try to run out of the nation. But at the same time, there's God's plan to wall in the empire, so the riffraffs cannot escape from the empire when he sends people to deal with them. So, if God decides that after this happened, that the feds need to come terrorize me, Chris Dorsey's boss, and I'm assuming Chris Dorsey's boss was right there watching what was being said, and it's like, they don't like that at all. Now, Chris Dorsey can say that. You guys know that. You guys know what Chris Dorsey says. He calls for that, but he can say that because he's one of them, right? He can say whatever because he's one of them. He can call for anything. Trump can call to hang, execute, lock up Clinton. All his followers can do that. But if you go against the agenda, you go against the plan, if you're not them, they'll just use that as blackmail against you or to actually put you away rather than blackmail. But I think that it's pretty obvious to most people that he's a shill, an agent. He's not just a shill. I mean, shill implies it's some person trying to mislead you. He's not really misleading you. He's trying to lead you. That's the problem, is you don't want him to lead you. You want someone, you would want someone safe to lead you, not one of them. You would want not one of them to lead you against them. And he is armed, and the only real danger I see in him is his bosses, his goon squad. He looks pretty fucking weak. Which I called him out for that shit in the comments as well. I mean, after he disconnected the chat without answering, like 30-minute chat without answering the one question, really. I mean, it was all like an interrogation to me. I mean, literally, dude, I've dealt with the police, forever, dude. Like, the first time I was interrogated, I was 14. They said I was a gang leader, and I was blowing up high-rise buildings. That's what they said. So, I've been interrogated a lot, and the first time was in '94. So, I know what interrogation feels like. I know how it's supposed to make you feel on the inside. See, interrogation isn't about asking you questions and interrogating you. It begins in a manner to break you down and to make you emotional and to make you want to do and say stupid shit and get pissed off. And what it is they want to break down your ability to stay calm, cool, and collected, so you don't say anything So you'll say plenty of stupid shit. So you won't stay calm. And that's really what it felt like talking to him. And I'd already kind of seen that before, but it helps to fucking have it directed at you and to feel it, to feel the emotions that it draws out. It's the same thing every time. It's like when I was 14 and I was interrogated, like what I was thinking was, man, like I was like my dad was beside me and I was kind of like thinking like why doesn't my dad like smash this guy's head open or something, because I mean he deserved it. Fucking he was like interrogating a 14-year-old for some outlandish shit. It's like someone should just put an axe through this dude's head because he's a fucking terrorist. Like he's fucking he's wasting tax dollars. He's trying to he's like 1984 style trying to break the mind of a 14-year-old child and to fucking make the 14-year-old cry and fucking, I mean, it's sick shit. It's sick. These people are sick. They're fucking predators. These empire fucking faggots are predators. And that's why they need their fucking large groups too, because God didn't design fucking sick pedophile predators as like a superior group. So that's why they have to have these large FBI, police, investigation organizations, because alone they're just fucking weak fucking cowards who would be smashed easily. But that's what it's designed to make you want to do. It's designed their interrogation. Like, I mean, but it was worse when you were 14 and you're like not guilty of anything. And it's so absurd. It's like you're leveling high rise apartment buildings. Like, you're blowing up huge buildings, son. Like, you're talking to a little kid like this, like, oh, what are you doing that? And it's like, on top of how they make you feel, it's just like, this dude's a mental retard. He should be killed before he breeds and infects the planet with more mental retard white supremacist fucking investigators. Fucking, that's really, I mean, hopefully they can't dig up my past. They have no idea who I'm talking about, right? But I'm sure they'd love to. They're probably watching this now like, he's talking about killing the pedophiles. Oh, I hate pedophile killers. You like that, don't you, FBI? You hate those pedophile killers. Well, I got an idea. Fucking God sending me a transmission. God's saying he's going to kill all the pedophiles. Oh, God. Jesus, God's an evil guy. He's an evil guy. He's an anti-white supremacist, anti-American, anti-FBI, anti-police. Oh, he don't like pedophiles. So, yeah. Fucking top chat. Why do we got top chat on? I'm so sorry. Y'all have been talking. This shit is deceptive as fuck. You guys have been talking the whole fucking time, haven't you? Minds.com. Which one is mine? I'm going to start over at the beginning here. Minds.com. Minds.com. What was that again? That sounds familiar. Okay, that's one of those alternative sites that was from New York. It was one of them. It was it's owned by a New Yorker. I mean, and I got attacked by them when I went there, so that's them. Am I a sleeper agent? Yeah, I'm a sleeper agent, dude. Like, dude, my whole record is like the FBI came out to see me last month. You don't know who's more unhinged, me or you? Well, you got to be able to be smart enough to figure out when I'm unhinged and when I'm making you think I'm unhinged. That's the key, isn't it? Yeah, all philosophers are criminals, society. You think too much, you'll start thinking around their fucking... You start thinking about their bullshit. Yeah, it's totally hard to think that I'm a sleeper agent. It is if you know me. I mean, obviously, anyone could say that, right? But, in fact, no, they can't. How come they never... Yeah, no, tell me it's obvious I'm not a Fed, because... You know why? Because None of those. One of my real life friends showed up in that chat. I don't think he talked though. He was actually a friend who was like there every step of the way in that little thing, which is really odd. He showed up during that conversation when we don't talk anymore. But he can definitely vouch that we don't work for the government and we work against it. At least I do. I should never involve anyone else in anything, especially because I am who I am now. And I don't want anyone around me to be associated with me right now because what's going to happen here soon. They can choose their sides, but I don't want to drag them down to my side on my own. Yeah, you say Chris Dorsey isn't relevant. He only has like 500 views. Dorsey is on like national television, so he's he's like he's like one of their last players. He's a sleeper. He's like David Duke. Like David Duke before the alt right only had like so many viewers before the alt right rose up and he made this "Who Controls the Media" video, which only he was allowed to make at that time. David Duke was just a radio guy who no one knew really anything about him, and he traveled here and there, except for once he ran for election. But in between that time, he was a nobody who no one really heard. It's good to hear you like the way I'm thinking, Dave. Did I name Jersey? I think you're tricking them. Why do people think I'm a Fed? No, no one thinks I'm a Fed, dude. Who the hell thinks I'm a Fed? Chris Dorsey said I'm a Fed. So David Walsh asks, why do people think I'm a Fed? Hopefully that doesn't bother anyone if I read back names when I read these comments. Only Chris Dorsey said that, and that's because Chris Dorsey was being deceptive. Chris Dorsey was telling his followers to think I'm a Fed, because I think he's a Fed. I think he's just setting you up. He's setting me up. He definitely did that. Yeah, you think there's a linear track? Well, definitely the track that God has put it on collapse. If you think God put the world on a linear track, that linear track is on a cycle. You can look at the cycle, and the cycle empires. I can't recall who, and we're at the end of that cycle. Even though generally those cycles last thousands of years, the this empire has definitely overstayed its welcome, and it's only lasted like 300 years. But you can tell by reading the cycles of the other empires that this empire is at the end of its cycle. Now, sometimes the empire gets a fucking life injection, but you got to stop. You can stop it. You can stop that life injection, but it gets really bad if you don't stop the life injection. Can't think of who Charlie Zillinoff is. I only think of I've heard of that, but I can't think of who that is right now. Charlie Zillinoff. I've heard of that, like somewhere in the Truther movement, I think. But yeah, Dorsey is pretty relevant because he's relevant if you're on the liberal side of things, libertarian. He comes from the Press TV, so whoever watches Press TV these days, I'm not sure if they pulled Press TV. In fact, I think they did. They banned Press TV from hotels and stuff in America and other sorts of stuff. So I'm not sure how relevant Press TV is, but Chris Dorsey is like he's kind of like the end of a rabbit hole. He's the person with the gun. He's the guy promoting armed rebellion. That's exactly what he's doing. He's promoting armed rebellion. And I'm the guy telling you that you're going to die if you promote armed rebellion. And I think I'm the guy saying I think people like Chris Dorsey are there to tell you to do armed rebellion because he wants to kill you and he wants to round you up. No, no. See, bite it, you scum sucking glutton. You said, I doubt the feds will be looking around videos with less than 100 views. It's not the feds are lurking around any specific video. I think it's the feds are in my life. They, that's one of the same arguments Dorsey made about who would come into my life. Well, why did the feds come into my life, huh? Why did Trump and pals from Washington, D.C. inside a military intelligence community, why did they come hang out with me? I'm just that smart that I interest them, right? And they want to come date me. And they want to come bring me and my family gifts as well. I shouldn't say my family. That's like a weird term for me because I don't think I know who my real family is. I think this God person is. But I don't think I know. But yeah, why would the feds hang out on my videos? I'm not arguing that they would necessarily. The argument begins, why are they hanging in my life? The argument begins, why when I was 14 in 1995? It actually begins long before that, but my memory doesn't go back to when I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. But when I was 14, why were the police investigating me for blowing up high-rise buildings and running a gang? I was the gang leader in the middle of a hood. That's what they said. So, why have they always said these things? Maybe they've had reason to come after me. Maybe they're scared of me. And they should be. They should be. I can be whatever they want me to be. People have always said, like it says, why would the FBI be here? Why would my teacher, man charged in death has record of temper? Why would my teacher go to the newspaper and say, I always knew he'd kill someone? It'd be the same reason the FBI would be on my page because first of all, Red Ice is the FBI. Why would they hang out on Red Ice when they are Red Ice? Why would they hang out on the Alex Jones show when Alex Jones is Mossad? They wouldn't need to. Why would the FBI hang out on Mark Zuckerberg's page when they technically work together behind the scene? Now, where would the FBI go? The FBI would go after small people who they could fight. Or people who they thought were gang leaders, gang members, and they have always thought I'm a gang leader and gang member. I didn't even understand what they were saying when I was 14. I just thought they were... It didn't even fucking come to my mind that they were being serious, but they were. They thought I was a gang leader at 14. And little did I know, I attract people. I attract followers. And like in the real world, I've never had a problem with that. I have a problem with the opposite. I have a problem with finding fucking time for myself. So I end up isolating myself so I can be alone. And I have a lot of hallmarks. Why would they be here? But my question is, why would the FBI be in my life? That's your question. My question is, why would people who hang out with Donald Trump in Washington, D.C. and work for Donald Trump and work for the media, work for Hollywood, why would they hang out with me and work for the oligarchs in my city? Now, I can answer that because I work for the oligarchs. My family works for the oligarchs. We run businesses. I shouldn't say we. And I shouldn't ever talk about my family because I don't want they'll come after these people. Like when they learn they can't fuck with me, then I'm surprised. I think they came after my best friend. One of them, there's a Jew in my best friend's life. And you can't go around him anymore because he's always got the Jew right there. Fucking, and that's the alien right there. He's got all that. He can get anything on us, and he's asked to do stuff before, and it's like I can't educate him at all on it. I can tell him, everyone listens to me. I mean, they know I know what I'm talking about when I talk, but they can't understand it. So I can't educate someone on the Jew and they stop hanging out with the Jew. It's like everyone on my channel, I watch you guys. I watch almost all of you, and you all hang out with the Jews, and you all hang out with the FBI. And it's like, well, in my line of work, I can't associate with that. It's like if I went to hang out with my friend and the Jews. Like, imagine if I put that video up here after I went to hang out with my friend and the Jews. Like, everyone would be like, you're hanging out with the Jews. It's like, yeah. So why would I do that? I wouldn't hang out with them. But why would the FBI be in my life? So many reasons. Let's start with this. You know, these newspapers. This is nothing new. This is just 1 year of my life, you know. That's just 1 year of my life. That's the way it is all the fucking time. Now, they act like they don't know because my records are sealed. So when I talk, but the FBI always acts stupid. Investigators always act stupid because they don't allow you to ask them anything. But I'm sure they've unsealed my records and fucking looked at them and shit. And you don't really have to unseal them. You just look at them and you see, like, maybe we should watch that person. But if you hear me make these videos exposing your fucking terrorist organization, if you're the mafia and I'm like exposing all the members of your mafia, why would the mafia hang out on my videos? That's exactly why the FBI would hang out here, because I've been exposing them for over 10 years. I've been exposing their entire criminal global domination scheme for at least 10 years. And by now, well, unfortunately, within the last few weeks, they've learned who I am. I've been trying to keep a lot of this shit under wraps as much as I could. I didn't want people to know about my past, about how I was born able to read and how I was passed up multiple grades. They know. They've been looking for people. They've always been looking for people. Look at thousands of years ago when they looked for Jesus. They killed all the firstborns. There's always the best of the goyim. They want to squash them. They always want to kill the best people, the best slaves, because a good slave is a dumb slave that can't figure it out. And this DNA they've been looking to exterminate for thousands of years, it still exists. Now, there's an argument that there's different beings on the earth, and that's probably correct, and that's probably what they're doing. And some say that's what the Bible's about. Jordan Maxwell definitely talks about that. Now, they argue there's different beings on the earth, and they're probably looking for different DNA. They're looking for a different group of people who they couldn't kill off before. And according to some people who look at the Bible, there's part of the God coming back to earth is going to be the DNA who created the humans coming back to earth to destroy the people on earth, because they are not the humans he created. They are another alien. But there's definitely something going on. There's different people on earth, and why would they be interested in me? I don't know. Why have they always been interested in me? I can tell you some of that, and I don't want to, but I just told you some of it. But why am I me? I can't tell you that, and I think that's part of the key. I don't know why I was born able to read. You know, I was born an adult, basically, and like everything seems to be different about me than the humans and shit. And I don't know, but they've always been after people like me. It says that in the Bible that they were after people like that. It says that in the Talmud, we'll kill the best of the goyim. Yeah, recycling is just a way to get you to waste your energy. There's very little gain from it. It's just a menial task. There, I've come to the conclusion that one of the things they do, I'm not sure what they do it for. I'm not sure how they do it, but it feels like they harvest the humans' energies. They enslave them and make them do menial tasks that they don't have to do. And the technology is already so far advanced that they don't show you that, but you don't have to really do all the manual labor they talk about. And I don't think you've ever had to, but they designed the planet to like start from age of ignorance. And it's possible that all the technology was accidentally leaked to us. I don't know if I'm a nexus between realms or a co-soup, but I've been thinking about that recently. I've been trying to talk to God a lot. Um, because I've been trying to figure all this stuff out for like 10 years, and the first step like was like just me like researching stuff, but I quickly learned there was no you're not going to be able to defeat these people just figuring out who they are and researching them, and you're not going to go out and protest and defeat them because there's something else. And then I started noticing things in my life, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to make it on my own. When people started coming in my life, I knew I was alone. I had spoke with friends, and I had like mildly questioned them to see where their heads was at. And then, of course, when they started hanging out with Jews, when a Jew magically popped up in their life as their new best friend and was there every single time I went around, I instantly knew that I can't rely on that person anymore. And really, I never really did. So I had to start looking elsewhere. And I'm slowly like learning whatever's going on in the other world, the other dimension, and still testing it. But I've been able to get it to communicate with me a lot. One instance is yesterday. Or 2 days ago, I was driving home from the gym, one of them, and I think it was 2 days ago, and I was like talking. Man, I hate it because I can't be honest about so much shit. I can't say lots of stuff like this video. This is probably one of the worst videos I've done in like 2, 3 years. I started out saying that shit, and I've said it several times since, and I've definitely went directly into talking about them. But it feels safer now to mention them. But I don't know. I think that's just the feds. The feds are allowed to talk about the Jews, but the this other topic, I was baiting God, because that's how I've learned to talk to Creator. That's how I've tricked him into talking to me. If you want to know the truth, that was how it happened. I would deceive him. I would say things, not mean it, and I would set up traps. I would set up all sorts of things. But for instance, a couple days ago, I said, well, this is it. There's not much left for me. There's nothing you can do to stop me. I gotta leave this world. I'm going to fucking find a way out of this world. I'm tired of being tortured all the time. And I'm tired of living in this fucking hell. And during that paragraph, which I use few more precise selective words describing my exit out of this world. During that paragraph, my fucking phone got a notification. And I don't think that was a mistake, because what that notification was exactly a counter to what I was talking about. I was saying there's no way you're going to change my mind. And I'm talking to myself at this point. There's no one around. Yeah. Okay, well, I was saying that. Well, I mean, dude, this shit's been like a nightmare for me. But I was talking about this shit, and instantly I got a notification and it changed how I felt, what the notification was, which is weird. That doesn't happen, and I don't get notifications like that. There aren't women like me in this world, so I'm never impressed or anymore, or like, wow, like, wow, females trying to talk to me. But this one was different. But at the same time, I knew that person's never going to talk to me again because this was just a bait by the creator, by the or the people watching me. I'm often at odds whether there's at least two different groups watching us. It feels like there's people like they're watching us, like the Empire is watching us, but it feels like there's a god above the Empire. There's beings above the Empire that they can't control, and that will control the Empire, and will kill the Empire eventually, and is preparing to kill the Empire. It really feels like, oh, well, I mean, I question who the devil is, because the Empire is the devil. That I question which one is which. You know, for about a month, there was nonstop visions in my head of my head being blown off. Like, it was like weird. It was like so constant. It was like they were beaming the image into my fucking head. It's like I wasn't like really thinking of it. It was just there. It was there. 12 hours of the day. It was inconsistent. It was so much. It happened so much that like I was like, dude, this surely isn't like my mind formulating this on its own. This is them trying to project that into, yeah, but I'm not going to let them win by taking me in either. They're not going to enslave me anymore. They've been enslaving, like I said, I mean, since I was 14, they've been trying to find a reason to enslave me, and I think it was long before that. They put me in their drug centers long before that, and I can't even remember when they first started that. But that also implies that the people who raised me were involved in it and involved in helping them, and that means since my birth they've been trying to enslave me, and that also means I need to find out who my real fucking parents are. Yeah, I drank some bleach once too. I just apparently didn't drink enough of it, so I only can't fucking talk. If you ever hear me fucking talk about how it hurts to talk, and it might have something to do with that. But yeah, I tried that once. Unfortunately, they say suicide. See, if they say that keyword, this video gets banned. I've had this happen. I've had police show up to my house over shit like this. Yeah, things generally have to get pretty bad for you to have to start feeling that way. I've no, was it bleach? I'm sorry. It was silver cleaner. Oh, fuck. Some things you want to forget. I try to heal myself by trying to erase the past and shit. It's weird because some of this other shit I talk about, it feels like I've altered the past to change things. Like when I talk about like Joey's death there. And then I guess other people I'm not gonna name them, especially because you never know when one's close enough to hear. But some of that shit, it feels like I've like altered the timeline to change what happened, and like there's been people who abused me when I was young, and I think it really feels like I sent someone back in time to fucking abuse them, because my ability to mentally crush them nowadays, like to call for them to be crushed and then them be actually crushed. One time I was like, I should go back in time and do this and that to that person, and like then I realized, like, did I just say that because that actually happened to that person in the past? I mean, I mean, maybe everyone's been abused. You just aren't looking at it that way. I never used to look at it that way, and everyone used to tell me shit like, "Oh, I feel sorry for you" and all this shit. But you never know. Fucking But I definitely would like who I was. I was like held back in a like by not just one or two people. Like that whole shit I keep saying about how I was born an adult. I could read. I was past up grades. Like they mentally abused me during those periods. Now it did like when you hear the word mental abuse, to a normal person that sounds like nothing. Even to me, when I hear that, I'm just like, oh, stop being a pussy. But it's like they can do shit to you. Like there's more torture than just bashing someone's head in with a baseball bat. In fact, um, physical abuse is fucking simple. I don't give a fuck. That doesn't even bother me, really. It's the other shit builds up over time, though. It's like Chinese water torture on the mind, and there was a lot of isolation because of that shit when I was young, and they isolated me from society. Yeah. Oh yeah, David. I was a prodigy, basically. Yeah, that's what I was saying, and they didn't know how to deal with it. No one knew anything about what to do. Yeah, I mean, I can't help but think that they woke me up because they wanted me to stay asleep, and then they wanted to wake me up later. But at the same time, they've commented on me before that they are going to use me for their purpose. That was a long time ago, but I don't know, man. It's hard to figure out what's going on. The Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be a victim. I want to forget about it. I wish I could, but the problem is as I erase my memories, I tend to I'm tending to erase everything except for that stuff I want to erase. So it's not very good. Um, I was just noticing the other day that like my day to day memory is fucking kind of non existent sometime. But my ability to remember all that shit but that's like the only thing I can remember. And it's like, fuck, the whole point was to like try to forget some of that shit, not to forget. I gotta brush my teeth and shit. But the prodigy shit was really weird because yeah, the guards don't ever help you in those places. That's like how that shit works. I was in juvie and like they just fucking let people like threaten me left and right, dude. They let that shit happen at fucking summer camp. They let people fucking hold knives to me and everything. But the way I see it is, there's probably a reason why I've been through this shit and then introduced to all this, and it's definitely because I can fucking lead a war against these people, and I have no I have no fucking qualms against that. It's like I have no thoughts in my mind. Like once I started realizing that there was some other power I was toying with, some watchers who provide to me. I should stop playing with this because I'm going to break it. Who knows how much that's worth? Once once I started noticing there was other powers, watchers watching us. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, dude. Nature's pretty far away from the city. If I go outside around here, I'll be a crazy person and shit, and they'll call the cops. Like, what's a person outside for? Yeah, I try not to be violent because I'm very good at it, and it doesn't end up well for others. So I learned when I was like 6. Maybe I should just like be completely pacifist because I don't, and it seems like when I do become violent, it's like always like the wrong decision versus times when it could have been like accurate. What's up? What's up, Marat? I don't know how to pronounce your name. Is the H silent, Madison? Yeah, it's like totally like the whole shit I was discussing here in the paper. That it was like pure pacifism. Well, yeah. I literally let the dude hit me, and he kept trying to hit me, and he kept thinking he was tough, and he kept trying to hit me, and so I drove off, and he kept trying to hit me while jumping on my car, and so he fell off the car and died eventually. But it was weird because I was going to kill him. I mean, you can hit me and it doesn't hurt me, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna like fucking let not do anything eventually. But that was like the weird part about that wasn't just God killing some thug who hits me. It was God killing some thug who I was about to serve a lot of time for killing him and his friends, and instead God decided to kill him. I was like, well, I didn't know anything at that time. I wasn't aware of the watchers and the creators. I wasn't aware that I was watching things and in control of the world myself. So I really had no idea what was going on. But it happened again later in life, and I realized that later in life there's only so many chances, so many possible things that could have happened that caused that other person to die, and it definitely involved me, but it involved my fucking mental. Like, it's going to be really hard for the FBI to charge me for crimes when I just wish someone fucking dies and they die, or if someone's terrorizing me and I wish their legs were broken so they couldn't fucking come close to me again to terrorize me anymore. It's really, it's probably really hard for as much as they want to, it's probably really hard for the police and FBI to charge me with a crime in a situation like that. But when I first started noticing all that shit, I didn't realize what's going on. I thought it was like evil God. I thought there's like some sort of evil force in the world. But later God showed me that he has to break fucking necks, and he'll break as many necks as he feels like it, and it's not up to me to decide whether he's a good guy or not, or he's just or not in this situation. And even if I cared, it's not up to me to. All right, I will. I'll check out your video. Hey, Madison. Madison, how do you pronounce your first name? I don't want to say it wrong. Yeah, SDK. I wasn't specifically talking about the FBI when I was saying the Watchers. I'm not sure who they are. They have control. It could be the FBI, New World Order. But I think there's something. I think there's like a God above them, and the God above them is going to kill them. So I've got. I'm not on their side. That's for sure. I'm definitely on the power above them side. Uh, even if it's not good, I mean, for now you can use evil to destroy evil. Fuck it. But yeah. Sorry, I had the fucking comments on live. Yeah, it's on Top Chat again. Oh yeah, because I just came here. I just came back. Why wasn't it showing me the fucking chat? Did they update the fucking chat so it doesn't show you it again? Or who knows with this? And it deleted some of the old shit, so I can't go back all the way. Yeah, I didn't know Trump's on a coin. But yeah, I was getting into discussing those powers and shit. Um, Once I started noticing them within the last 10 years, I began testing them and seeing where they're at and what they'll do for me. And the more I tested them, the more they did for me. And so it's like Chris Dorsey was talking about, you're a sellout, you're working for the feds. It's like, whoever I'm working for, fucking, I didn't openly work for the feds. Maybe they are feeding me shit, but the Fed who came into my life, they were very against speaking about the Jew. So I don't think it's the feds I'm working for. I think it's someone else. Although the Jew himself is kind of like, one was like promotive of me. I guess they always have been in the real world, but probably not since all this shit started coming out of me. They've all stopped talking. But they are, let me get something like some candy. Yeah, okay, so like the powers, I'm not sure who it is that I'm accessing. Maybe I shouldn't be so fucking ballsy about it, because it could just be them trying to trap me. Could very well be they've definitely got me doing stuff now they could trap me with if they wanted to, I guess. And it feels like they kind of like set me up to try to make me aggressive and violent. But at the same time, God like planned that from the start. Before the FBI came into my life, I didn't actually have ridges back there, steak and onion. I generally don't eat chips. Too much fat, not enough flavor. I'd rather have cake. But I change stuff up because if you eat the same thing every day, it doesn't taste good anymore. Generally, though, chips have way too much fat and just not enough flavor for the amount of fat content they have. So I'd rather have like some candy or some nuts or cake, pie, something. It's just something about chips. Not a lot in a lot of French fries too, except for like McDonald's, maybe Rallies. Way too much fat for the flavor. Like just basic, plain French fries, plain brand French fries. It's like 8 grams of fat per serving. It's like tastes like shit for 8 grams of fat. When you can have cake or a good chocolate at 8 to 12 truffles. You can even have truffles if you got the 12 grams of fat. So why waste, your 8 grams of fat meals, servings on potato chips? That's the way I see it. I just I didn't get chips to chew on anyways. It'd be way too loud. Yeah, I like whatever chocolate there is really, but I prefer like truffles, like Lent truffles, and like Dove is okay, I guess. Right now, I'm eating this Dove peanut. They got some new peanut butter filled Dove, and it's pretty good, I guess. I think that's some of it. No, that's just a dark. Yeah, that's some of it. It's pretty good. And not it's really not as good as Reese's, but it's nice to have something different because I was eating Reese's all the end of last year, so that's not going to taste good if I just keep eating it. But speaking with whatever power is running this world, it started working with me a lot in the past few years, and I figure if the feds are going to come after me after this recent interaction with Chris Dorsey, then fuck it. Whoever this is, they're gonna fucking start killing these people. I bet. I think they're gonna start killing them anyway. I mean, they're setting it up. They're setting the whole stage up for America to be destroyed. I mean, everyone's setting it up. Even like half the people who run America, the people you can't mention are setting that up. So there's not really much that's going to be going on. They're not going to be able to lock too many people in prisons for too much longer. The prisons are going to fall apart soon. I suppose about the time they come for me, though, they'll start destroying. God will start destroying the fucking prisons, and so they have no bars, so they have no walls. It sounds like it feels like it's coming real soon. I mean, look at what they're doing. They've got like little options left, and I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one. There's got to be other people he's been training to be fucking warriors and shit. I didn't ask for. I didn't ask to be alive. I didn't ask for any of the stuff that happened to me at all. Everything was pushed on me. Later, learning that the powers I speak to when I'm alone respond to me in TV and media using my smart device. Learning just how fast and how rapid they respond all across all forms. It made it easy for me to look back at all the random occurrences in my life as being something that they set up and put there, not necessarily something I asked for. For a moment in time, I was kind of like enslaved by the people around me, and like kind of got talking about that prodigy shit. Dave brought up the word prodigy. I kind of don't use that word, and when they put you in advanced classes, they call you advanced and gifted, and I kind of just avoid most of those words, but I guess prodigy is another word. I mean, I guess at first they enslaved me for a while, and no one fucking helped me and did anything with me, and no one allowed me to do anything. That was the biggest thing. They're all dumbasses, and they didn't know what to do with me because they're dumber than me. Like, you can't like train someone, educate someone who's smarter than you. You can't train someone who's more able than you. You have to have someone more advanced than them training. So they didn't know what to do, but they definitely set me up with the wrong people, and they fucking tried to like lock me down and keep me away from myself. And then, but I could tell like eventually after speaking with all those, with the powers, listening and watching, yeah, it is. And after speaking with the powers that are listening and watching, I realized that the powers, the gods, the aliens, whoever's in control here, like I said, I think it's two groups trying to fight for control of my mind. I realized they isolated me for a purpose, so I didn't get that indoctrination. So I didn't get forced through that. And then later they sent me gifts and shit. When I refused fully to go into the system of indoctrination on my own, when I got big enough basically to punch you in the mouth if you told me to go to school, I stopped going. So then I had people sent into my life to train me how to be a warrior and shit. And I thought I was pretty bad at that for a while, and I was always wondering, like, why is this person coming into my life, like, training me to be a warrior, especially because I'm so bad at it. It's like, can't you find someone who's going to be a good warrior? But eventually that, like, did translate over to, it was like, it's weird. It was like, it was part of my mind. It was like part of my mind, like it was always was at one point, and up until that point, it felt like it was just like completely out of touch. But I missed a lot of that school indoctrination because they set me aside. Like, they threw me to the side like a hard piece of cheese because they were too dumb to figure out what to do with me, or at least that's how the story goes. And it really it was a complete waste of time for me. I think it was for everyone else too, but it was like what they did to me was like a complete waste. Like, while they tried to educate the other people who didn't want to be educated, they basically put me in the corner with Legos. Literally put me in the corner with Legos. Like, I was one year, at least one year, they put me in the corner with books. Like, in kindergarten, they were teaching everyone their ABCs and one, two, threes, and I knew that shit all, and I could already read. So they put me in the corner with books, which, I mean, if it wasn't school, and if it wasn't all libraries or propaganda, that could have been pretty beneficial. But probably wasn't too much because there's no books at school that are anything intelligent, and there's really no books much of anywhere. It's almost like after reading so many books, I try to wonder, what did I ever learn from books? I don't know if I ever learned anything. Even today, when I read like mechanical engineering books, like mechanic books for cars, I have two books for one car, and neither books combined can tell me 100% about one specific car, and I have to go to people who know those cars to get the truth. But Chilton's and Hayes, the most popular makers of those books, they sell those books regardless, but they're not accurate. So reading books doesn't make you smart either. But definitely playing with Legos does not advance your intelligence. It makes me wonder what really happened that year. Things were weird. I mean, especially after seeing the Truman Show, I became really paranoid because I was going to do like a side by side analysis of the Truman Show in my life, and it would be like, it would probably take like many days to analyze that. That was a scary movie to see. I kind of quit watching movies about 8 years ago for the most part, and I kind of never watched American theater after I turned 18 or 17 or 16. It was like, it's pretty boring. Everything's the same in this world. It's like the same thing over and over. So once you've seen a few American films, you've seen it all. And then Saul came out, but I mean, that was like 10 years after I seen Italian horror movies. And if you, all Saul was an Italian horror movie, fucking with no fucking plot. Yeah, I do. The FBI agent who came into my life, or whatever she was, alien, actor, Mossad, whatever she was, the person who tried to get me to hang out with Donald Trump before he was famous, right before he was running for presidency, announcing that. That person told me that everything is not that way everywhere else, and I should. It's really like the city that's bringing me down, and no doubt it is. Like, I have nothing in common with anyone in the city. It's weird. Like, there's like no other prodigies in the city. There's a couple, but there's no other like prodigy rebels, and it's like we're different people. Like, intellects are different people than rebels, and rebels are different people than intellects. So when you have them, and they're both really hard to find, like, because real rebels like don't exist so much as the TV would want you to think, as opposed to just hard-headed motherfuckers. And real rebels don't even exist at all anymore. It's just like sissy culture. And then, of course, the same thing can be said for intellects. They kind of don't exist anymore because it's an idiot culture. It's a dumbing down culture. But they don't exist two in one, and especially in this city, they don't exist because it's like it's they do whatever the TV says. City. I'm missing the word for that. It's a socially acceptable city. It's like you either do what is acceptable by societal norms, or you don't exist. It's like people like that don't even exist. I sound like the unib. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, hey, maybe that's why they said I'd always kill someone. Fucking. I got bigger plans than the Unabomber, man. Yeah, way bigger plans than that. He was a lightweight. And hopefully I don't bomb any fucking innocent people. There are too many, right? I shouldn't say that. These motherfuckers really have been watching me saying I've been blowing up buildings in the past. And it's like, yeah. I like fucking with them, though. It's like, you never know when I will. It's like, did I blow up those buildings? I guess you don't know. Better find some evidence. Yep. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, see, this city is like all about that societal fitting, and I'm like the opposite. So I was told by the FBI agent Mossad, or whoever she was, actor. There's only a few choices to who that person was because it was obvious they weren't normal. Um, but they told me it's not like that, and this is just like some dumb inbred fucking cow town, and that makes sense. It's like, I mean, no offense to country people. I notice country people are generally smart. They're like farmers and shit who have to not be lazy. Like they have to make their own food and shit. People in this city, I don't think they're smart enough to grow a plant, anything like that. Let alone smart enough to harvest it or anything. But I was told it's not like this elsewhere, and I was going to go elsewhere. But the odd thing is, watching the Truman Show, he wasn't allowed to go elsewhere. One time, it was called the RNC, the Republican National Convention, Donald Trump's final stop on the tour. Might be something you guys have heard of, possibly. I went there, and there's a lot of shit involved. Like, I hadn't seen the Truman Show yet. But after watching it and looking back on it, it's like really weird how like almost every single thing that happens in that movie. Now he points out like a dog and a ball bouncing, rolling by, and a person on a bike, and I've never specifically noticed shit quite like that, but everything else in the film I've seen. And one of those things is when I went to the RNC, I was like stalled. And like I was told I had a car, and then all of a sudden I didn't have a car. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm like a paying customer. Where do you get the right fucking telling me you don't have a car? And you didn't even call me to tell me you don't have a fucking car? Like should I like fucking smack you? Or what's the point of treating me like I'm not a paying customer? But when I got to the RNC finally, it was really weird because looking back, it looked so staged. It looked like it was a TV set almost. But there was no Donald Trump. You couldn't see a Donald Trump. And for any plebe, there was no evidence Donald Trump was anywhere near Cleveland, Ohio. except for unless you consider the military being their fucking evidence. But all in all, it looked like a really small event. Like there was about as many military there as there were people. And that was weird. It's like that. It's if it's, if you need that much security, like you should have a lot more people you have to defend it from because the military were fucking decked. They could easily deal with those people, and most of those people didn't even look like they were there for the RNC. They looked like they were just normal Cleveland people hanging out at Cleveland bars, and it really looked like one small little, well, I guess one small block was lined with people, and it still didn't look like a lot of people. Compared to the military now. And Trump was behind some, supposedly in this building way out here, way on the other side of the military, that normal people couldn't get anywhere near. And I had no idea that shit was like this. Like, I thought these campaign stop things was for normal people to go talk to Trump and shit. I guess the RNC's not. You're not allowed anywhere near it or something. But that didn't make any sense. Like, it looked really fake and staged. And it had the stall thing, too. And then I watched the Truman Show, and they stalled him when he wanted to leave town as well. And they wanted to set it up later so they could stage it and shit and record it. So, have I thought about leaving town? Like, yeah, I've got tickets. I've had tickets for a few years now, but shit gets in the way. Like, whatever these watchers are doing with my life, they keep me here. They keep me here like it's part of their plan to isolate me. They've been doing that my whole life, though. Like I was saying earlier, since I was a child. They've isolated me from the other people all the time. And now I traveled a couple times when I was little, but I didn't really give a fuck about that type of shit. Like going to Disney World, that was stupid. And I mean, I was born an adult. Disney World's not for adults. And I kind of like Kings Island, Cedar Point amusement park rides, kind of, but I didn't really like amusement park rides when I was a kid, so I didn't really enjoy it as much. I didn't like roller coaster rides till I was older. And then I didn't really travel anymore. So I've thought of it, but I bought those tickets. Who knows? Maybe those gift cards, those tickets expired. Like, it was gift cards, so I could buy tickets with whatever tickets I want with them. But, like, shit just constantly got in the way. Whichever one's in Florida. Disney World, right? Or, no, that's... I don't fucking know, dude. Whichever one's in Florida. The one with Epcot. The lesser of the two. From what I hear. It feels like they're trying to lock me in the city, though. So I've, like, not been too adamant about trying to get out because it takes a lot of work. It took a lot of work for me just to go to the RNC. It's like I don't have time for all this fucking working to just go somewhere for a couple hours. It's like if it takes days to do something, then that's my vacation right there, is to travel to the fucking thrifty car rental lot and fight with them and then leave and go home. That's my vacation. Like I can't do a lot of shit normal people do because they interfere with my life and they prevent me from doing normal shit all the time. It's like they want to trap me and forced me to be educated. And it's weird because, like, all throughout my life, like, they people would interject and have this common theme: you should not work, you should just educate yourself. And it was like all over, like, all the time. It's just weird how many people said that. It's like that's like not a normal thing that normal people would say to anyone else, anyways. And so, like, thinking about going out of town is like an entirely different thing. But I've got to worry about what they do to me, like, in the town to slow me down. Like, it feels like they interfere with my ability to do normal everyday shit. Like, turn on my computer, like, they'll turn that into a video game, or it must be fun for them because it turns into a game for me. I've got to figure out how long is this going to take to get the computer to work right. And then like, the car will randomly have problems, and all the mechanics in the town will be like it's perfect, and then mechanics will refuse to work on my car and be like, well, we don't have anyone who knows how to work on your car. And like, that's the new thing they come up with. There's like always something in the way of whatever I want to do. But traveling out of town seems like it would be some crazy long ordeal, because it was when I went to the RNC. It was just some extended thing. And by the time I got there, I only had such small time to spend there, and it was like kind of like irrelevant for me to even waste my time there for like 3-4 hours when it was like a 3-day thing. And I wanted to spend at least a whole day there, but shit got in the way. And I just feel like I just kind of quit worrying about those gift cards I bought for the planes, because I get so tied up with this other shit taking up all my fucking time all the time. And I don't know. I would like to try to. I mean, I can't even I don't even know where to begin with explaining most of the shit I have to deal with. It's like a normal person couldn't deal with it, because normal people, like, supposedly have these slave lives where they have to do this, that 24/7. And it's like, you couldn't deal with fucking half the shit I have to deal with, usually. I have to deal with, like, all sorts of idiots on the phone all the time, dealing with bogus shit, dealing with people fucking with my accounts, or my people run my accounts doing stupid shit, people altering my mail, people altering my credit cards, my credit record. It's just like a lot of shit. And like, going somewhere turns into a chore a lot. So after the RNC thing, I began to think that going somewhere else might be a little more hardcore. But I try to think, fucking, other than finding, like, possibly a girl like me, why would I want to leave? Like, like, what is there somewhere else for me? Like, I don't necessarily want to care if I go skydiving. And I'm used to, like, my shit. Like, I'm used to my little command center full of high-tech devices and instruments, and having a gym, and then having gyms around me, since I don't really use my gym in here anymore. And I'm used to being able to cook what I eat and have a strict fucking bodybuilding diet. And you can't do any of that when you're on the road. Like, the McDonald's is not real fucking, like, real food. You get sick if you start eating it all the time. No, what's Organite? I don't know. Maybe I have, but what is it? Yeah, but like one of the biggest things, I guess, is like I was thinking of going some places and educating people on Jews. But other than that, I try to think, why would I leave? Because it's like I've got computers no one else fucking has, and instruments no one else has, and my computer's like so fucking detailed and set up different than other computers. We don't have the games and softwares I do, and obviously no one has fucking instruments and shit. But it also gets expensive. Like if I go somewhere and I want to stay there for a month, that could be like $30,000. Or it's like, wow, it's a lot of fucking money just to go somewhere and educate people on Jews and shit, which would be about all I would do is look for a girlfriend or fucking and go around talking to people about Jews. Um, I'm not interested in this other shit like hanging out at beaches and stuff. That sounds stupid. Or going to Disneyland. That sounds even more. I don't know. That's about as dumb as you can get down there at beaches. And I have traveled a few times, but it's like, it's always kind of stupid. It's like, that's pretty lame. Especially since they got rid of arcades. There's like no cool arcades anywhere. All the arcades have games from like 1920s. It's like, who the hell plays that shit? Yeah, I don't really care about going to LA to meet the stars because it's like, I don't obsess over them like most people. So I don't, no offense, but I don't give a fuck what you're doing, Tom Cruise. Like he probably appreciates that. He's like, yeah, one person's not fucking stalking me and trying to fucking kill me today. He's probably like, thanks, Sean. You're not trying to stalk me. Everyone else is. What is organite, though? Well, I got that other video on Chris. I mean, I pretty much spoke about most of it in here. I don't know if I should erase that or put it up. That's another thing Chris discussed was he was like, "Oh yeah, show me the video." Oh, okay. Um, I had heard of that before, but I didn't really haven't looked into a lot of protection. Um, but I kind of have fucking partial protection where I sleep just because of how it's built. It naturally blocks out waves, but not like 100%. But it's kind of good. It's good enough that it fucking makes my phone like not want to connect sometimes. But I don't think it's really good. Plus, I don't think they're showing us their technology. So I would think anything they tell us that can block their technology, they have technology beyond that. So it's just a scheme to sell you more garbage. They go, oh, look, here buy a tinfoil hat, it'll keep our radio waves out. And it's like, well, gee, who's telling us about tinfoil hats? Alex Jones is. So it probably doesn't work at all if Alex Jones is telling you about it. And that's definitely something in the anonymous and truther movement, the organite. And whatever they say tends to be pretty shady and deceptive at the end of the day because they're just part of the whole NWO scheme, the whole control scheme. But yeah, I noticed like I don't get wireless as well where I sleep, but it's, now that I just had that discussion, I was thinking for a minute maybe I could just add a little bit more and it would be really safe, but it's like I don't know if that's the case. I don't trust them. Their technology is much farther than they're telling us it is. They're, which is odd because that's another thing in the Truman Show where they're convincing all the people that, where they convince Truman that the technology ain't where it is, but the technology's really way ahead, and our government wouldn't just give you technology. And I mean the internet, like the whole birth of the internet comes from a story of a battle for technology. If you ever looked into that, the UK actually invented the internet. A man in the UK, and then the government took it and was trying to hide it from the world because the government wanted to use it as a military weapon. And then the American government invented their own internet, and instead of using it as a weapon they wanted to hide from the world, they turned it into a weapon they wanted the world to use. And so now we're on the internet, which is their weapon. I don't know. I'm sure we're just one war away from returning to a long distant past, but that's if the past even exists like they say it does, because you're just relying on books they wrote and stories they told, and there's no proof of that. Even if you know someone 100 years old, it could just be someone who's inventing some stories, or we're like mind programmed. But beyond 100 years old, there's like no proof any of that shit existed. And but the evidence stacks against it too. Like all the limited stories, all the limited ideas in the world. Say the world isn't like very old because there's only so many stories. There's only so many ideas. Even in the design of the humans, the animals, and the plants, there's only so many designs, and they all share same traits as well. So it even lessen when you look at it. It even lessens the amount of thought that would have had to go into producing all three of them, because they just all kind of tie in as well with the same traits and characteristics, just spread out different areas. And you can see that in the movies, the media, in the movies, the books, the plays, the radio, the music, comic books. It's all like the same, like really, it's kind of like the same 7, 8 stories, but then it branches out into about 32 versions of each of them, and then they all kind of just copy off each other, and then they'll be like, oh look, it's a video game. It's brand new idea. It's like, but it's like it's not really a brand new idea. It's just a video game, but it's the same idea that was written in a book 100 years ago supposedly, and then was done in a play 100 years before that. And like technically, it's all stuff that could have been invented in 10 years. Like all the stories could have been written in 10 years. So a lot of the world's on such a repetitive cycle. It seems like it's not possible for it to be thousands of years old, because there would be more inventions if it were that old. Are you talking about where they show his face over and over, like the different times he like is confronted with the truth? Was that the control room you're talking about? Where Neo gets to see how he responds every time. And you're like, look, you just respond the same way all the time. You've been here before. I'm trying to think what the control room would be. Kind of, that was a rather long set of films. Okay, not exactly, but this kind of like that's kind of like him being introduced to the same thing over and over, um, where he sees the same thing over and over, and he's being told that those are different lives, those are his different lives, where he's at the end of his interaction in life, and he responds differently each time. It's a little. I test the world like that, like especially these last 10 years, where I've noticed they're watching me and they're responding to me. I've I've been testing them like in that control room scene on Matrix, but I'm referring to something like where if you put 10 writers, Stephen King and Stephen Hawking and fucking isn't that odd? Those names are so similar. And I'm saying they're writers, even though the one technically couldn't, but I'm sure plenty of people wrote in his name for him, and I'm sure he spoke through the writing system. It's kind of odd. See, that's one of those anomalies there. Like the anomalies exist as well, where on the repetition thing, where you'll see that people with the same names are on a sometimes in the same sect. Like they haven't, the creator didn't even change one Barbara from another Barbara. They just, it's just supposedly a different Barbara. And it looks like a different Barbara. It really does sometimes. But even then, sometimes they'll still look the same. But like, that's one of those samey things where everything seems to be much more related and on a much smaller scale than a 6,000 or 2 million year grand scale we would otherwise believe existed. When you see the different people with same names having many of the same characteristics, it's like they didn't even take time to throw up. It's like they didn't even take time to throw mini multipliers into different Johns and shit. And but I don't think it's something like I've seen, but it is something stated by many people. Many people have said that nothing is new, like the Bible says, nothing is new under the sun. There is nothing new. Um, the world has changed, it hasn't changed. Uh, Gaining knowledge does nothing, really. Um, you can look around at what's around and you'll be able to see the future and you'll be able to see the past as well. That's been said by several people. People have said that about Hollywood, about how all the media is the same. Not talking about just Hollywood, but Hollywood books, plays. People have said that as well. Um, so it's not something that's not been said before, but I didn't really, I didn't know a lot of people or a couple people had said it really until I noticed it myself. And I kind of noticed that from reading fiction, reading a lot of fiction and fantasy, and then probably watching a lot of movies later. I just seen that like this stuff isn't new. It's like I've seen this before. And then by the time Saw came out, the Saw series 1 through 10, it was like pretty obvious to me that media was on repeat, but I wasn't yet aware that the world is on repeat, that all the designs of the world are on repeat and not just media. It's like the humans are generic templates, And then, the animals are obviously on generic templates. That's kind of like the easiest one. You see that so much you don't really see anything about it. And then the plants, obviously, another thing, you see it so much you don't really notice it. They all look the same. And so that's like natural. But when you see it in the humans, you start to think like, wait a minute, I thought humans were supposed to be unique and all this shit, and they really aren't. But then you can go above that and you can see that the humans, the plants, and the animals all have interchangeable features, emotions, intellect, stuff like that. And they're all based upon the same template of how they're created. And they all three are pretty much designed from the same template, just, change here and there to like mutate their looks or their size or their hair or the fact that they walk on two legs or some shit. Like if you've ever raised a cat from kittenhood, or a dog from puppyhood, and been its actual parent versus its parent being its real 100% parent, then you've seen that the animals are really like the humans too, and they're almost from the same exact template. It seems it just they're designed to walk on four legs or be a little bit smaller or something, or in the case of big cats, they're designed to be bigger. So I don't think I've seen something exactly like that in the Matrix. But that is something that was written in the Bible, and then not really in detail. When King David's servant talked about that, he wasn't. The Bible doesn't really go into detail. It's kind of wish-washy and open-ended, and I think it's purposely designed to be that way. So it can be interpreted basically however you want. But again, you take one of these things, you can apply it all over. Yeah, it's odd. The Matrix even talks about Zion, but there we are again, talking about how everything ties back into one another and is all based upon the same templates. Like the Matrix is literally using words from the Bible for its story, even though watching it, you think right away like this is like totally different from the Bible. You got Keanu Reeves doing martial arts, and you've got fucking what's the black dude's name? It's not Denzel Washington, right? Whatever. He ain't in the Bible, right? Keanu Reeves ain't in the Bible. But then they're talking about Zion. Yeah, Lawrence Fishburne. Now, yeah, it's like Lawrence Fishburne ain't in the Bible. Was he God in the Bible or something? Kinda. He kinda is in that, right? And he's kind of the guy showing Jesus Morpheus around, or Jesus Neo around, right? The chosen one. He's shown the chosen one around. He is kind of like God in the Bible. And then Neo's kind of like Jesus learning who he is. And they're in the Zion mainframe. There it is again. Everything copying off everything else that already exists. When if the world were 2,000 or 200 million years old, there would be a lot more differences rather than similarities. But especially, at least in the way into thinking, maybe we can say the plants and the animals and the humans, their looks wouldn't change, but in the way of thinking, it really hasn't changed. They haven't produced much new. Most of them are just reproducing the same thing over and over. And it's something that could have been invented in a room by about 10 script writers in about 10 years of hard work. All the movies, all the books, all the radio. And especially if you have the help of software to help you randomly put a multiplier in. Let's say you create 10 stories, 10 books, and then you have some software that can put random multipliers in there, randomness in there, and randomly change nouns. It could easily turn those 10 stories that took you a couple days to create into hundreds or thousands of stories, like just with the help of a computer, putting a random function in there. And it only takes a couple days for a writer to write 10 stories. Like that song I posted yesterday, that's a 15-minute long song. That was like a third of an album, basically, or a fourth of an album. All right, depending on what it is, I could have been a whole fucking demo album. And I created that in 15 minutes. So it took me 15 minutes to create that 15 minutes worth of media. Once you know what you're doing, you can do that shit. So it's not as complicated as it seems. I'm saying it's quite possible that they can work with AI to do that. I'm not saying I have any proof of that, but it's quite possible they do, especially with how sometimes it's so shitty and repetitive. It really makes you think like there's not much effort put into this. Now I'm going to be thinking about that. Not that I watch too much media anymore. I do kind of watch. I watched like the Daredevil and the Marvel Punisher and the Arrow series and the Flash. But and what? Honestly, I say I don't watch TV, but I swear to God, I've watched everything out there. But that's all the more reason I know. Fucking all this shit's the same. And now a lot of stuff I can't watch, like a lot of series out there get really boring. Like the horror genre's been dead for a long time. They haven't this whole cycle of repetition it's on. The horror genre has been dead for a long time. They really just you kind of got to rely on jump scares, and they can't do that after a while. I think I'm not sure, but I think because they tie in with those other people and they talk about them so much, they almost must be. I did recently see some propaganda from them. They're linking the Free Thought Project, which I said like 10 years ago. Free Thought Project is obviously whoever these actors are controlling our world, my reality. I said Free Thought Project was them because they don't name them. You know what I'm talking about? They aren't honest about what Zionist is, what Israel is, and who controls the media. And that's probably because they are the Jews. But it's not just them linking to them, it's the story that Renegade just recently linked to them. I generally avoid Renegade, but this just happened to be thrown in my face. And not really for any specific reason. It just bad vibes from them because they hang out with other people, or more so the people hang out, their viewers hang out with the other groups, and that right there looks suspicious. It's like if you're really looking for truth, you're going to look for the truth, and you're not going to keep hanging out with people when you know they're lying. And Renegade has exposed them plenty of times for their viewers to know that the other people are lying. It does seem like something you don't want to throw away, but it's that old guy. Who's that old guy? He's not with them anymore, is he? Who's the old guy? The old white guy? You know who I'm talking about? Yeah, is he with him? Is he with them still? Because he is yo, what's up? What's up, George? Is that old guy still with Renegade? Because that guy, that dude's horrific. I want to say he's not. He like distanced himself from him, but it looked like he was still with him and still part of it. But he's distanced himself from them because he's like alt right, white supremacist, and Renegade is like was like leaning not so much, and but the alt right is clearly all them. And so that guy definitely makes Renegade look shilly because he's always talking about that. And the thing is I don't know what he does on Renegade, but I know what he posts on his account at G Plus. And he's definitely like going along with the government stories and shit on G Plus. Yeah, yeah, and he's always blabbing about nothing too. It's not like he's introducing anything no one else has ever talked about before. Most of the time on G Plus, it just feels like he's trying to tell you to follow the government narrative and the TV narrative. But the Renegade Tribune, they recently had a link to Free Thought Project, and it was a picture of a marijuana bottle. I mean, a marijuana in a pill bottle, and pills in a pill bottle, and like the marijuana in a pill bottle, it was like a circle, you know, like positive yes, like go, and then the pills in a pill bottle, it was like a circle with the X through it, you know, like no, stop. And it said, why Big Pharma is hating marijuana, medical marijuana. And it's like, Big Pharma? It's like, Big Pharma doesn't, why do they hate medical marijuana? What's the difference there? It's like, Big Pharma's selling you medical marijuana, or Big Pharma's selling pills. What do they? They hate you because you chose the green stuff instead of the white pills they sell. That sounds like the dumbest argument I've ever heard. And there's no way they even set it up to make it known that you're stupid if you fall for it, because it showed it said medical marijuana. It didn't say legalized marijuana, and it said medical marijuana, and I believe it had it there in a prescription bottle, and it's like there is no difference. Like, they aren't mad at you because you're buying the new drug they're selling. It's really cheap and really expensive to produce marijuana, and it's really expensive to buy marijuana. Think about that. That's a lot of fucking profit. Now, it's probably pretty cheap to make opium too. It just doesn't grow naturally in America. But that little bit of opiate you get, that little tiny bit you get, is worth a whole hell of a lot of cash. But it's the same shit. Yeah, fucking, and Trump's lawyers, Cohen, is behind some of the medical marijuana. He's like backing one of his boys for medical marijuana. So it's like, that makes Renegade seem so fucking shilly. I mean, it made no fucking sense at all that they would. I mean, they worded it in a way that it told you you're a fucking idiot if you don't realize that it's still the same thing. But then the whole paragraph, the whole article was about telling you how you're defeating Big Pharma if you buy medical marijuana. It's like, why don't I just buy medical Xanax instead of medical opiates, you know? How about I buy medical fucking heart medication instead of medical opiates? Like, you know how to defeat Big Pharma? Buy kratom instead of fucking medical opiates. That's how you do it. But you know what? I know some of the people involved with the selling kratom, and I'm not too sure whether we should trust them or not, because they're trying to get us back into the alt-right. And then the other one looks like a Jew. So if you're a Nazi trying to get us into the alt-right, and you're not like instantly like trying to distance yourself from these people, you're clearly working with them. Yeah, I've heard of Colloidal Silver. I heard of that from Alex Jones. I actually have some over here because I found some really cheap, but haven't used it yet. Yeah, but I heard of it from Alex Jones, so I'm a little worried. Plus, if you take a lot of it, it poisons you. So, I'm not too racist, but I like having my white skin. It'd be kind of weird if I turned into a Smurf, which is what happens if you take too much colloidal silver. It poisons your skin. It They say it layers under your skin, and then they showed pictures of people with blue skin, and they say that's from silver. Not sure the doses and the toxic accumulation, but I believe it's always accumulating when you use it. They say it's good for antimicrobial purposes, but antibacterial purposes. But I haven't gotten sick in the last 2 years, so I bought it just in case because it was really cheap. Um, who knows? Maybe one day I want to take it and look blue, but um, I don't know. I try to avoid some of the vitamins because I got a lot of them, but I don't take them all the time. Although it's obvious some drugs have some sort of effect. But it was the theory, vitamin theory was pushed by a Jew. So I'd like, I know better than to use it, but I still use them sometimes. Um, it's really weird that it's pushed by a Jew, and it does seem, at the end of the day, like a Jewy thing to sell you garbage and profit a lot off of it. They seem to have this habit of selling you a little bit of something or a little bit of nothing and making it really expensive so you spend all your money on it. I mean, well, smoking can be bad for you, but I don't know, dude. Weed debilitates a lot of people. It doesn't do too much for me, but it really depends. I mean, there's some strains. Before the medical marijuana thing, they never talked about that. They just told you weed makes you stupid and all this shit, but they still kind of don't. But there's different marijuanas do different things. It doesn't always make you lazy. That's mostly if it's all degraded into THC and it's all your other cannabinoids and cannabinols have degraded, or the plant is mostly a THC based plant. Um, it could be fresh at that point, but there are upper weeds, and different. You can extract different compounds from the weed using different methods. Like vaping at different temperatures will bring out upper highs or downer highs from the weed. And again, it depends. Like if you have some really good, if you have like a upper plant like some Genius or Apollo weed, then that can be like Genius is extremely upper, but I haven't seen Genius in years. And not to say there isn't another one out there. And then Apollo is just like a Genius clone to help calm it down because Genius is actually a little fucking crazy. It's a little too upper. And then you can extract with a real vape, a temp controlled vape, real vape, not these new things they call vapes, which are fake vapes, but a real vape with temperature control and good quality temperature control. If you can extract most of your weed at 375, 378, 382, 382 max, you'll pull off an upper high from most weed. And then, if you want to downer weed later in the day to help put you to sleep, which is good for putting you to sleep, you can re-vape that same weed at about 389, 392, and technically up to 400, but since most vapes aren't very accurate, you're burning it at combustion at around 400, and that point of a real vape is to not burn, not combust. But you'll get that downer high from about 386, 392, something like that. Yeah, on Jim Howe, George, you said some about you said something about Jim Howe. You're still wondering about him. I'm just wondering where he's at, though. I mean, I can't say much more about him. He should definitely come back with some more videos. Maybe he's got a life now. That I wish the best for Jim Howe. Fucking maybe he's got a life. I always try to think positive, but in reality, one of us disappears. That's probably not the smartest thing to think positive rather than be like, oh damn, what happened to him? That's weird. Your mom's Catholic and she can't say anything when you talk about the Jews. That's weird because I can link the Catholics to being very anti-Jew. Like the real Front National before Marine Le Pen was very Catholic linked, and the popes went to visit the Borghese family in Italy, who Giuseppe Borghese was a general of Jew-aware people, as we're being told. In fact, they attack the Catholics so much, and they tell us that the Jews tell us the Catholics are part of the New World Order so much that it seems like they're probably not. My opinion on the government shutdown. Well, the government shutdown is just like a vacation. The government shutdown is just like a vacation for the politicians anyways. Supposedly it's going to shut down some actual government stuff, but they averted that, which I don't think they would want to not avert that, because supposedly it will shut down like social like welfare and stuff, and they've got to keep the blacks appeased and happy, because the blacks are one wrong move in the government away from fucking burning it down to the ground. They've really got to focus a lot of money on the blacks. Now, I don't think they're going to be able to do nothing about that. This is the way empires end. The slaves, the non-empire people they bring in are always people they've tried to kill off, and they try to appease them and appease them and appease them and appease them, and at the same time they still try to kill them in the lands they come from, and no one's really fooled by that. And if the government shutdown would have lasted long enough, I believe it's over now, isn't it? Or something, and maybe they just worded it that way. But if they don't keep feeding the black people and giving them free handouts, especially if they just keep asking for more and more, I think they have to keep giving them more and more. If they don't keep doing that, they'll have to they might as well blow up the government themselves. So the government shutdown won't be able to last too long if it's going to cut into public service funds. But it's a vacation. That's not what Trump's not telling you that. But for him and the House of Representatives and the senators, they're getting paid to go home and do nothing. Now they're acting like they're like arguing in court or something, but that's stupid, dude. Man, that's a vacation. That's always been my stance on that. The only during a government shutdown, the politicians should be in the street picking up trash until they decide what they're going to do. They should have to continue to work for their money. The other people will get their funds taken from them. Supposedly, the FBI doesn't get paid on government shutdown days, so they don't have to go in the street and pick up trash. But the politicians do keep getting their paychecks, and they should have to go in the street and pick up trash on government shutdown days. And that'll give them something to think about. Maybe they can think about running the country, next year, during the next year. That way they can avoid a disastrous government pick up trash. They can just completely change the name of government shutdown to government pick up trash day. And and then they'll get, you know, they'll get the idea that it's stupid and it's pointless, and it's probably best that they work on the government before it comes to shutting it down, rather than working in the street, picking up sewage and, you know, picking up litter. That's my idea. That's my opinion on the government shutdown. It should be politicians in the street picking up trash until they can decide to act like fucking normal people at normal jobs have to do and do some actual work. Well, I mean, they know they're working for money. I don't know if they're smart enough to know anything, but I don't know. When I talk to the FBI, they seem kind of dumb, but at the same time, the FBI told me to don't trust the media. They said the media lies, and it's like, wait a minute, you run the media. What the fuck are you? I don't. And then they charge Alex Jones for for saying the media's lying. He gets sued for that. It's like, wait a minute. Like, I'm not sure, man. I'm not really sure if they know what they're doing, but I don't see why they wouldn't. Um, some people in the government know what's going on, but some of those people just seem so stupid they probably don't know anything. Well, technically they are. It doesn't matter if they know they are or not, but technically they are conspiring against everyone and they're violating the Constitution. And you shouldn't be in a position such as that if you don't understand you're violating the Constitution. Um, that's your whole job is to. That's the only thing you're supposed to know is the Constitution when you're in something like that. So, if you talk to a policeman can tell you all sorts of codes, police codes. You know, that's his job. So, how come the politician can't tell you any fucking laws? I don't think most people are smart enough to know everything. I don't think anyone's really that smart, but I don't know who carcinogenic is. Who's carcinogenic? I mean, almost anyone who's in the American government has to be fucking aware that that America is acting like shit and they're like enslaving their own people. I mean, are they that dumb? There should be a crime against them being in the government if they're that fucking dumb that they don't know anything at all. They'll. It's hard to tell what they know and what they don't know because at the end of the day, they'll all claim ignorance. Like, if you go to arrest them all, they'll all claim ignorance, every single one. So you really don't know. You really don't know if what's his name? I can't even think of him. The Zion worshiping Republican, Lindsey Graham. At the end of the day, you don't know if Lindsey Graham's just a retard or if he's just a snake, but or if he's both. He really seems like he's both, but it doesn't really matter. What he does is, you know, it's quite a bit of a crime to be using our resources to fight our own people and to fight other nations. He, I mean, at the end of the day, hey, the Bible calls for fucking those people who claim they fucking deserve to be in positions of power to fucking face the worst, to be held accountable. And that's, you know, whether you believe in the Bible or not, people fucking in those positions need to be held accountable for what they're doing. But why are they in those positions? Are they just after these positions for money and for fame? Like, that's kind of weird. some reason my charger. Okay, my charger came undone. Yeah, it's hard to tell who in the government's actually an idiot and who's not. They all seem like idiots, though. To some extent, Trump doesn't really seem like an idiot. Trump seems like a top shelf snake. George Bush Jr. seemed like a complete idiot. Yeah, probably Trump's way off the fucking hook in all sorts of fucking mental categories. I'm surprised he hasn't done anything actual too psychopathic. He's done a lot of other shit. He's done snaky shit and lie shit. I mean, they're at least on that level, they're all lying. The presidents are definitely involved in more than they say they are, except for maybe George Bush, because he really seems like he's mentally retarded. George Bush Jr., at least. He could have just, like, you could just give that dude a lollipop and he would have been like, okay, I'm president now. But Trump's definitely smart enough to know some shit. And Trump's aware when he says dancing as Muslims that he's covering up for dancing Israelis because he knows that. He was confronted too. He was confronted and he said, shh, that's one of us. And he said it to silence him. Yeah, Trump's been robbing the real world before he was a president. He's smart enough to do all that shit. He was smart. He's been groomed for a long time. He's not just an idiot. They've had to groom him. I mean, they couldn't have just put someone like him into power. Oh yeah, he's definitely part of the Zion Mafia. I don't know if the politicians thinks 911 was an inside job. I believe Trump probably knows because he's talked about so many deceptions there. Like like when Trump said dancing Muslims, like that's clear. It's clear that he was being deceptive because no one talked about dancing Muslims and not really that it didn't exist until Trump talked about it, and then it's like they fabricated some media. The FBI made up some fake media or something saying they were investigating dancing Muslims. Yeah, yeah, everyone knew it was dancing Israelis, but after Trump said dancing Muslims, then magically a clip from the media, one clip came out on one channel that said there was a newscast of the FBI talking about dancing Arabs on 9/11. And now in the past, there was other dancing Arab videos, but they were all debunked. This one was about the FBI investigating dancing Arabs. But the other ones about the dancing Arabs were debunked and weren't actually the Arabs dancing over 9/11. They were just dancing because it was like a holiday going on. But all the media did put that out as the real. Did he? He didn't go in the towers. No way, dude. He's a wuss. He couldn't have gone into the towers. He would be scared to go into the towers. Trump might be a snake, but he's sure seems like a fucking coward, too. So, I don't think he would carry it. I don't know. Ivanka's like a treasure to him. Ivanka's like his girlfriend, right? But, I don't, I don't see him going into a tower. Yeah, Trump even said some of the 9/11 shit. See, that's the thing is Trump's one of these double speak guys. That's why they put him into power so he could double speak and trick the masses who were woken up. And that's why he says all this shit and he doesn't do it because that's what he's there for. He's there to say it. He's there to say what you want to hear and then not do it. He's there to say there's these people celebrating on 9/11. We need to investigate. And then you're like, yeah, it's them dancing Israelis. And then like a week later, he's like, yeah, the dancing Arabs, we're gonna get them. I'm tired of Iran. And then you're like, shit, that's not who it was. But the odd thing is so many of them are play to do that. Like Smoloko, uh, you guys might be familiar with him. Actually, a very like Jew talking site. He confronted, or he showed a video of someone. I want to say that was him. He confronted Trump, and he said it was dancing Israelis, not dancing Muslims. And then Trump's like, I uploaded the video, and then Trump's like, shh, shh. I uploaded my own version of the video, which was more to the point, a lot quicker. And then Trump's like, shh, yeah, he's one of us. He's one of us. And he's like, it was the dancing Israelis. But then Smoloko went to Trump's side, like, after that. And it's like, what? It's like, it's obvious Trump was lying. He went even further into dancing Muslims after that. And he went, more of his family was exposed as Jews after that. And he exposed more of his Israel worship after that. And then, like, so this Smoloko guy must be one of them, too. Which makes sense because if all the Nazis are them, then he was getting pretty big, too. And he's, like, technically bigger than Chris Dorsey, but I don't think everyone knows whose propaganda they see when they see Smoloko's pictures. Except for generally it says smoloko.com down there in the corner. But not always, but still, even then, it's not like anyone's ever seen his face to know who it is. It's not like he actually ran like some YouTube videos. He ran a website and then made some meme pictures. And I think he still does it all the time. And people are still brainwashed by him, even though he had a little area where he confronted Trump about it. And then he went to worshiping Trump after that. Oh yeah, fucking. He talked about Trump talked about Silverstein, um, and the structure of the building. He said, and then the next day he took it back. Yeah, it was like fucking. It was literally like the next day too, wasn't it? Yeah. I wouldn't doubt he would say it was dancing Chinese. I think they're scared to outright attack the Chinese. Um, that's why they've only did the trade wars. But I'm not even sure if that was real. Yeah, it felt kind of staged because they like kissed ass. They kissed up. They kissed and made up real fast after that. So I'm not sure what to think of that. But it seems like it's pretty obvious that Trump was just there to play both sides of the coin on everything to rally people around him. And he's, of course, never actually going to do the one side of the coin because his family is the Jews. So he's not going to do anything about it. And he's probably one of them since he looks like one. Since he looks like the blonde phenotype. So and then he backed Alex Jones so much too, and he thanked Alex Jones for the win. So it's like, what was with his deception about 9/11? Well, the same thing about Alex Jones's deception with 9/11 is he tells you about it, and then he tells you it was the dancing Arabs. Muslims control Hollywood. And he's not being honest about who it is because it's his family, so he's not going to be honest about it. And even then, it makes you question 9/11 truth because Alex Jones is behind it. So, if Alex Jones is behind 9/11 truth, how is that truthful at all? It should be something that you shouldn't really hang on too tight to, because it could be an ace in a hole for them to have invented a bunch of crazy shit, and then and then said shit in a crazy way, but it really have been people attacking America. Shit. Because America fucking attacked them for some years. Yeah, the Arabs in China, they took over Hollywood. Sure. Fucking Tom Cruise is an Arab. And what's that? Steven Spielberg is a Muslim. He's a fucking he's a Chinese Muslim. And Weinstein, of course, he's Swedish, right? And the Warner Brothers, they must be African. So, no Jews in Hollywood. Jews are, they're, you know, a, a hated people. People hate the Jews. So, Hollywood's anti Semitic. That's what Alex Jones said as well. Hollywood is anti Semitic. I think it is one of the videos I was just looking at the other day that I had downloaded. It was called "It's Time Fucking for Me to Shut This Shit Off." But no, the video was called "Why Is Hollywood So Anti-Semitic?" And it's like, I don't know, Alex Jones. Why did your Jewish family make anti-Semitic fucking media in the Hollywood they took over? I don't know, man. You'll have to tell me that. Fucking maybe someday I'll watch your show again. You can tell me that. But it's always the same shit with him. It's like it's not really ever moved on. Just just the conspiracy theory to libertarian, or to truth, or to libertarian, to alt right, to alt light. And no, the GDL kind of took over after that, but Alex Jones is like dying. They're like retiring him. So, and they're doing that by saying they're attacking him, and but in reality, it would just look obvious if he ran any more movements, because he's ran like the last five. But I got to shut this shit off because I should go to bed. I should probably get some dinner first. That's probably a good idea too. Yeah, he does, don't he? No, Brett Favre almost lost everything because of GDL. Yeah, you're welcome, Chess. Yeah. Brett Favre doesn't support GDL, just so you know. I hope that's sarcasm, because their tactics are to attack people like that. And um, people are being sued by Taylor Swift over claiming she's a Nazi. And it's not the Jewish Nazis who had invented that theory who are getting sued. It's some nobody who's getting sued. So you can't, you definitely shouldn't push those ideas. And Taylor Swift is paying a mega price for the Nazis attacking her and calling her um, a Nazi. She is, she's probably lost her place as the number one star in Hollywood after that. And now she has to make like shitty second class music with all sorts of riff-raffs. Well, she really is, but I think that's why they had to attack her and Brett Favre, because they were actually white people and they wanted to dethrone them. Those are really famous white people. Like Taylor Swift is kind of like a poster child for Hollywood white women. Like Aryan, she really is like the poster child for an Aryan goddess. But I mean, why would she want something to do with these stupid fucking Jewish Nazis? Like, she wouldn't. She wouldn't put herself in those groups. I mean, they're lying. So why would she do that if she knew they were lying? But their fruits are pretty fucking bad. And Brett Favre, as far as I knew, he was pretty fucking famous, you know, football player, and he's surviving on his fame. And so is kind of Taylor Swift because she really hasn't made any good music since her first debut albums doing country, and then she stopped doing that and she started doing mild commie shit, and now she's doing like extreme commie shit because she has to make up for all these accusations that she's a Nazi, and it's just so widespread that everyone really thinks she's a Nazi, and she has to spend all her time working against that. Luckily, with Brett Favre, I contacted him and I told him, like, right away, I said, you got to get your press team on this before this shit happens to you that happened to Taylor Swift. And you've got to fucking get out there and you've got to fucking, you know, you got to tell them before they come out and call you a Nazi, you have to come out and say, hey, I'm not a Nazi. Because if Taylor Swift did that, she wouldn't be making the videos she's making right now. You go watch her videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. She wouldn't be doing that. She's like hugging and kissing on her Jewish producers, and I think she's got some like lower class producers now. She's definitely accepting smaller checks than she used to because it's not cool and trendy to have a Nazi in Hollywood, so they have to take all her fame and money away, which sounds like it was the plan to start. Um, what did I told Brett Favre to call me, and Brett Favre decided not to call me, even though I'm the one who told him what the fuck was happening. What did Taylor Swift do? She didn't do anything. The Nazis started using her as their poster symbol, and my best assumption is they started doing that because the Nazis are the Jews, and the Jews wanted to attack her and didn't want her in Hollywood. She probably made a lot of money in Hollywood, and they didn't want her there anymore because she's too expensive as an asset. If you watch the money flow in the Hollywood music industry, what happens is they'll bring in someone like Justin Bieber, who is a child, like 8, 10 years old, and he doesn't know anything about anything, so he'll sign a contract for $10,000 when his voice is worth $500,000. And as that band gets big, within 10 years they have to get rid of that band. Whatever band's big, they get rid of that band. They get rid of that entire genre. And that helps cancel all those famous bands out to get rid of that entire genre. But Taylor Swift didn't actually do anything. They just said she was a Nazi and spread that meme all over. So it became so prevalent that everyone thought she was a Nazi, that all her fellow workers in Hollywood like assumed she was a Nazi, and she had to come out and be like, I'm not a Nazi, and then that leads to like kissing ass. And if you watch her videos now, it's like quite a distance from where she started at. And that's what happens when that happens. I don't think I told Brett Favre that the Nazis were Jewish. I told him to call me. I told him that the Nazis were attacking him. I played it two different ways because I wanted him to know the seriousness of it, and without having a long discussion, I couldn't explain to him how Nazis were Jews. You can't explain to people that the Jews are the Nazis and the Nazis are the Jews. I spoke with him on Twitter. I mean, he didn't speak back with me. I don't understand. Like, I'm telling these people what's going to happen to their lives and what they need to do, and then they refuse to talk to me. That's kind of weird. I tried to contact Taylor Swift as well, and I made the video, but my video got backburner. And she's still suing the wrong people. She's not even suing the right people. But it's like, it's weird. Like, these people won't interact with me like they're not allowed to, like they're set up. I contacted Riff Raff too as well, and the Black Soldier Boy. None of them contacted me back, but it looks like they definitely listened to me, because Brett Favre went into damage control within the next day or two. Yeah, yeah, and that's exactly. She also said she didn't care her music videos had too many white people once. That's exactly the type of stuff that they would set her that would set her up. You know, any sort of rhetoric like that, she would have to come out and say something like that. There's too many white people in my videos. Let's get some non-whites, and she has done that. And you could tell there was something up with the Nazis calling her white because by the time they latched onto her, she was no longer making white country music. She was making like a pop style Madonna, heading towards Madonna type music. But after that, she was like, she had no choice but to do that. They're not going to hire her for any sort of country hillbilly music, even if she wanted to do that. She's not allowed to do that because she has to spend all her time making up for being a Nazi, even though she wasn't. It doesn't matter. The whole world thinks she is because the Jewish Nazis attacked her. But then you have, like I said, with the Brett Favre thing, I got that under control. I didn't know Debo was part of their plan. I didn't see that video till like a couple days later. I don't think it was done the same day. I think it was released a couple days later. But I would love to talk to Debo because black people don't put up with this type of fucking bullshit. And Debo seems like one of those black people who don't put up with your bullshit. And I would love to fucking tell him about his Jewish bosses in Hollywood and about the Nazis attacking him. Maybe I should still do that. But I don't think they would ever go to Debo and accuse him of being a Nazi either, so he doesn't really have a reason to do damage control. They're not going to ever call Debo. Debo will punch some Jew producer in his nose if they call him a Nazi. So that's the danger there of messing with that. Is that can go either way. But they can't make Debo, less of a Nazi. They can't make him like beg and plead like I saw as a Nazis. I didn't know I was a Nazi. I'm black. I didn't know blacks could be Nazis. I don't know how many white youth are aware of the Jewish issue. I don't know. I don't personally know any young kids, so I can't say. I assume most of you accounts here on YouTube that have no faces attached to, I assume you guys are all 26 and younger. But other than that, I don't know. It looks like on poll, there's a lot of people who say dog whistle words, and but at the same time, those are the same people who fucking follow Trump a lot in the alt right, and it doesn't matter if they know the dog whistles. They're not Jew aware. If you're Jew aware, you're not following Trump and you're not following alt right. There's a difference between being part of a movement that says it's Jew aware and then understanding what you're looking at when you see a Jew and when you see how a Jew acts. It's two totally different things. So it's hard to tell. I don't have much interaction with the youth, and then the ones online, they seem like they're just into saying it's the Jews as opposed to being aware of what the Jews are doing and who the Jews are. I mean, I guess sometimes they name what the Jews are doing, but they all have really bad fucking skills when it comes to spotting a Jew and their tactics and being able to tell their continued tricks are just being passed on to the next buck. The buck's being passed on to the next host, the next show they want to run. Yeah, beyond jokes, not much, and it really does. It really does. It seems like it's a joke to them, and they don't really understand it. And the fucked up thing is the Nazi jokes at this point in time. It makes me think the Nazis were always the Jews, because you can see with the alt right, it is the Jews. So the alt right is the neo Nazis, and then I'm seeing all these supposedly neo Nazi leaders fucking this and that, fucking doing all sorts of dumb shit. But at the same time, some of these neo Nazis on my Facebook page who are like neo Nazi leaders, like, I think they're feds, man, because they'll post like real fake news, like Like there's a section of news, there's a groups of news websites that are like real fake news, like just completely fabricated and designed to fucking trap idiots. But I don't think it's necessarily designed to trap idiots. I think it's designed by the feds to try to make people stupid and gullible. And so I think some of these Nazi leaders are obviously the feds. Of course, everyone's always thought that, so that's not too far of a stretch. And then these days we see people like KKK, David Duke, and Trump, and Alex Jones gets blamed for being a Nazi leader. And then all those people, like they're all working together and with the Jewish Trump family. So it's like the Nazis are obviously the feds. But beyond the jokes, yeah, I'm not too sure how much of the youth can actually be aware. You can't be Jew aware and not be Jew aware. Like you you just naming a Jew doesn't cut it. That's like a first step. It really is like a baby step, and then the GDL tried to capitalize on how important that step is by saying, "Hey, look." Like all they can say is, "Hey, look, we're naming the Jew, we're naming the Jew, we're naming the Jew," and that's literally like all they ever say. And then Chris Dorsey kind of does that too, but he names a Rothschild and he names a bank. He wants to blame buildings made of bricks and name the Jew at the same time, and it's like I don't think that works. And then he wants to say the feds are bad people, and it's like, well, the least you could do is like trick the feds, right? Like shh, don't talk about the feds. Make the feds round everyone else up, and then the feds are going to be defenseless, and then go after them. But I don't think it's a good idea to just attack them outright. Like I'm not going to go in the street and call and tell people the police. Like I'm not going to go out in the street and tell people the police control the government and shit like that. It's like that's a dumb move. Like they're pretty low on the list, and they'll get rounded up eventually. Um, what you need to do is you need to attempt to get the police to arrest their bosses first. Like not just sticking them, but whatever. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing he attacks the feds. It seems like out of order to go after them first. But at the same time, I'm kind of there too, where you just blame the millionaires and billionaires and the feds. But he's still blaming Rothschild too, so that's kind of weird. It's like, it's not tons of proof Rothschild even exists compared to everyone else, like Sheldon Adelson and Soros. And Patrick Little, because he's in with the GDL, because he's in with the alt right, it's really suspicious. Because he said he was alt right aware, but then all he did was go hang out with alt right. And I even gave him a chance to talk with me. It's not like I was gonna like be a bitch when I didn't know who he was. But he would rather talk with them than talk with someone who's alt right aware. So he's alt right. I can say I don't like the alt right, but if I go hang out with alt right, then that means the exact opposite. Especially if that's all I hang out with. If I refuse to hang out with something else. Yeah, I haven't really. I haven't really been watching the media, but yeah, of course they're going to be acting up because Obama's out of office. Like they put Obama in office to make blacks calm down and shit, and make them think like they're part of America. Well, yeah, TRS is the Jew Micah Nock, and so and then he admits that the Nazis are just the libertarians, and I mean he admits a lot of shit, but it was obvious TRS was the Jews. I mean, Micah Nock didn't admit he's Jewish, but he admitted his wife is, which is like the same thing. And then he sounds like one. He sounds too much like one when he tries to be one. And then he's allowed to put out the TRS is allowed to put out like those parody songs. It's like, dude, I've got a couple parody songs I wrote, but I wouldn't put them out because the second I put out Burning the Blue Oyster Cult, you know, burn out the, burn out the, can't see no reason they put up a fight. I'm living, forgiving the devil is, I'm burning, I'm burning, I'm burning the, yeah. The second I fill in those blanks there, this channel gets removed. So, how did TRS put out any sort of, you know, parodies about Jews like that? Like, they hate comedy the most. Like, Jews have to control comedy. There's something about it. The, like, if you look at the comedy in Hollywood, it's not that fucking, Seinfeld is funny. Seinfeld is stupid. You know, Kramer is pretty funny. You know, Lena Dunham is not funny. And that other fat bitch is not funny. You know, Rodney Dangerfield, he is kind of funny. But they have this thing where they have to completely control comedy because there's something about comedy. Comedy can, like, spark your brain in ways that intellectualism normally can't spark with everyone. So when it comes to comedy, like TRS, they have to completely control that. Like satire is one of the first things they tried to remove on my channel and get me marks for it. Like I just made a satire that they bombed fucking Palestine on Christmas, Gaza on Christmas, and they didn't like that shit. They don't like you using satire. They have to control the satire. Yeah, like Seth Rogen, dude, it's not even funny. But they have to control that comedy shit. Pee Wee Herman was kind of funny, I guess. I mean, there's at least stories with him usually, but it was like really stupid too. But I mean, they have to really control the comedy. It's not that they're better at comedy. It's just that it's a better tool, and they have to control it. South Park gets famous, and then they use that as a tool to teach you that Nazis are fat bastards who never work out, and they always are 300-pound cartmen. They can't have it the other way. You can easily hide shit in comedy too. You don't have to come out and say it's the Jews. You could easily hide it, like they literally to hide it's the Jews, and come out and say it in a little barely hidden message in South Park. But if you're not Jewish, you can't say that. You can't have the episode of the Jewsians, aka canceled. But they just seem to completely control that. So TRS is, I mean, it's obviously one of them you can't fucking discuss. You can't do that satire shit they do. They really hate that shit. I've been testing what they dislike and what they like, and they really hate satire. Like, I can't do anything satire. It doesn't matter really what it's fucking about. I can't do any satire. No one takes satire very well. But they can do it because they're there and they are they and they can do anything. And with that, I'm going to end this fucking, this is, I should fucking,